Welcome to Circuit Spa Francorchamps for the 9th round qualifications of the World Championship Grand Prix Series. So, story for those of you joining us for the first time, Martin-Croncay has won 8 from 8. That's the main thing. But we go racing today, and again, 30 drivers will attempt to qualify. 30 drivers will race here in this round of the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Martin-Croncay has just moved himself to the top of the timing stands for the moment. But Will Vincent, along with Jonathan Simone, as Johnny, we know this track is all about speed and pace, and that is what we're going to see over the next couple of hours.
Definitely is. Welcome, everybody. I'm looking forward to Spa as usual. We saw a Coanda dominance last year here. Will we see it again? That's the big question. It seems that they've really mastered this low to medium downforce setup, and I think that's where Redline's struggling at the moment, and we'll see if Redline have ameliorated on that weakness. If not, we could see another Coanda round of dominance here today. Mitchell de Jong joins the grid once again, and he has really been Martin-Croncay's best competitor when he's arrived this season and shown up for a few rounds on his part-time schedule.
Yeah, we're on board actually with Mitchell de Jong right now as he heads himself through Prawn Corner. That double apex left-hander before you come towards the front of the chicane. Currently Martin-Croncay 1:46.247, the fastest driver out there. Bono House there in second place, Antoine Hegel in third, Jake Sturgis in fourth, and Fernet Kern in P5. But Mitchell de Jong has got himself the opportunity to go for pole position. He's done so before this season. He's looking to do so again out of Stavolo 2. I call it Stavolo 2. Now the long run through Blanchimont. Jamie Fluke up to second place for the time being in that Apex Racing UK machine. And Mitchell de Jong, that is a warm-up lap for him, because you can just see how much he's backing off the throttle there through Blanchimont. But that's partially to make sure the tyres in the right operating window.
Yep, definitely is. And here he goes to start the lap on the run to La Source. Just spotting the brake marker. Just making sure you don't run too wide into here. The line is important. Look at the dip and the camber through the apex. Brilliant on the exit there. Not too much wheel spin. And now hugging the inside and hugging the wall on the run to Rouge. Full throttle through here in modern day Formula One. Brilliant stuff there. Look at the balance as well, the shakiness of the car as well. As I say that, Pascal Sturgis into P2 for Core Sim Racing. Brilliant time. But here's de Jong on the run to Les Combes.
Sector 1, 29.746 then for Mitchell de Jong. Through Les Combes he comes now. 11 drivers have qualified so far in this afternoon's event. De Jong heading himself through the virage. Johnny, middle sector is where you make up your time. Through Nainem Corner, on now to the fantastic Pouan.
Yep, downhill entry into Pouan. And you just apply the throttle as soon as the front end bites into the corner. There it is there. On the throttle goes de Jong. You can hear it through the exit. The second apex is all full throttle. The first apex is really the tricky one. Through 13 and 14. Trail braking through this corner. 14. Making sure you don't lose the rear end grip. Into Stavolo. Very tight apex. using all of the curb on the exit. It's very slippery out there though, so don't use too much. Rear end wants to step out on you through curb, Paul Frere, and de Jong has to hug the inside to minimize the track distance to the line. Here he is through Blanchimont, straight lining this as much as possible again.
Towards the bus stop chicane then for the driver of Mitchell de Jong. 14 drivers have now set themselves to try and make that 15. Vakara moves up into 10th place, Bieder into 13th position. As out the final corner then, the bus stop chicane for Mitchell de Jong, it's going to be second place for him so far. So not quite pole position, but also no one is in the same zip code as Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, and that's surprising too, because last year's pole time of 45.6, so 6/10 off that Kroenke. Track conditions here today, 28 ambient, 40 degree in terms of track temperature. So, you know, unsure what it was last year anyway. I shouldn't have brought that up because now I put myself under pressure. But de Jong's gone back out on track, which is good to see. Kroenke is doing his poker face and staying in the pits for now. But I know Frank Schotthorst, by the way, P3. I like that, by the way. Red line still not challenging Martin Kroenke, but still very quick. Nevertheless, we know today as well, no Gregor Hutu for today's event. That was confirmed by team boss Dom Doohan, and also a race suspension for Mac Backham for his antics on the first lap at Indianapolis.
Yeah, what I don't like though is about that Bono House has done a second lap and he's still only in P number 6. So, Redline are struggling in some ways.
Yeah, they don't like this low downforce setup in this car, and it's been a huge challenge for him. And I think the season's been a huge, just mental challenge as well. So understanding this car has been really huge. Bono definitely won't be pleased with 6. I mean, he might even drop even further. You never know. But, I mean, Jurgis is in front of him, Fluke as well. These are names that are normally behind Bono, so a lot of pressure on him.
We're having a look at Kazuki Omishima right now. Through Blanchimont, he will come towards the bus stop chicane. Omishima has not set a lap so far here, but this is a good track for Radicals Online. A couple of years ago, Jeremy Boutou did a fantastic run, working himself up into the top 5. When Machine works himself past the start-finish line, and he will go somewhere. Actually, not that good a lap for Kazuki Omishima.
Yep, so I think they've actually scrapped off the lap time. Might have been, he might have had an off-track something, or he might have just, had an error or something of that, so they're not going to allow him to set that time. He did have pole here, by the way, Kazuki Umeshima, don't forget, all the way back in 2014 at Spa, so definitely familiar with this place.
We've got ourselves, though, the driver of Alex Bergeron in that fast lane motorsports car, having a look at him as he works himself up the hill towards the Lacombe complex. Keeping an eye out, of course, on Martin Kroenke. Kroenke, he's back out. He's off to do a second lap then. Even though de Jong is only 0.3 of a second behind him, he wants to go and have another run. Of course, de Jong is on a lap right now. Through Fogna will come the driver of Mitchell de Jong. Through Blanchimont will come the driver of Mitchell de Jong right about now. So for de Jong, as Isaac Price moves up into 4th place, de Jong, this is his last opportunity. That wasn't Blanchimont. That was Lacuma I was talking about. What am I talking about, Johnny? You go on.
Yeah, and I got to correct myself too. We're making all the errors here in the world. There was Olli Pakala, in 2014 that had pole, not Umeshima, but I don't want to bring up Montreal again. A race that Umeshima did have pole. So definitely a quick guy on the right day. So right now, let's have a look at the grid so far. We've got 2 Coanders on the front row, Schotthorst, Isaac Price, and Jurgis. So 2 core cars in 4th and 5th. Fluke's improved towards this latter stage of the season, so not surprised by his 6th place. Kevin Ellis Jr. down there in 11th in front of Marcus Jensen, his teammate, and Massimiliano Ficarra, P13. I like that so far from him.
Yeah, I like that as well, actually, for Ficarra there in that 13th position, just behind Marcus Jensen, but ahead of Balas Remniak right now. de Jong in towards, and the bus stop chicane, he will come once again. Let's have a look at the lap times for him. Best time 146.568. That got him 2nd place on the grid. Crosses the start finish line, and he does a 146.553. That is not good enough there for pole position. So he will remain in 2nd place, and it really is now the Martin Kroenke show.
Yep, definitely is. So I think Kroenke's got one hand on that pole trophy. But Umashima's flooring it here. He's the only guy not to set a lap time, by the way, Will. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he can really blitz the timing screens. He's all the pressure's on him.
Maybe he might get pole like he didn't do in 2014?
Yeah, maybe.
2014.
Yeah. Oh, man. Here he comes, though, through Les Combes. And you are right, though. Radicals at this track. It's a good track for him. Marcus Jensen into fourth, by the way. I like that. So he's improved. And Umashima, I think, is backed off. Something's gone wrong for Umashima, especially through Rivage. He just had no pace at all. So definitely a slow time for him so far.
Maybe they're looking at their race setup and focusing more on their race setup. In fact, he's not going to get another opportunity because he's only got a minute to get past the start-finish line. Here's Martin Cronke, by the way, in towards Prix right now. He will get this lap in. Whether or not he actually sets it or just goes on towards pit road, they are two different questions. But for Martin Cronke now, in towards Prix and what will be his final qualifying lap, he is already 0.3 of a second ahead of Mitchell de Jong, a 146.247. What's he got to do next? Is he going to try and go for a 146.1? Martin Piatella moves up into the 7th position, passes Gerges there, up into 4th place. What a run he's just had. As now, Cronke up in towards Blanchimont, David Court up into 14th place there, pushing Ficarra down into 15th, but Cronke will move himself now through the bus stop chicane, out the bus stop chicane, towards the start-finish line. Don't see any time so far for Kazuki Umashima that will make an impact, but for Martin Cronke, what does he do? 146.129. What a lap by Martin Cronke. A lap, I would say, of the gods, Johnny.
Good stuff. They're always strong around here, Coanda at Spa. Not surprised by that. Only Stephen Michaels out on the racetrack, and he's done. So everybody into the pits right now. Umashima slotted his way up into 16th. But it's this man, Martin Cronke, with another pole position to his name. Just absolutely brilliant this season. He hasn't been on pole every race. He's missed out at Sebring, Monza, and Indy. But this time around, he returns to first position.
Well, let's have a look then at what will be your starting grid for this round number 9 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And Martin Cronke on his 3rd lap sets himself a phenomenal time there, 146.129, 0.4 of a second ahead of Mitchell de Jong. Frank Shawhorse in 3rd, Pascalis Gerges in 4th place, Marcus Jensen in 5th, Isaac Price in 6th place there, Martin Piatella, Jamie Fluke, Bono Hausen, Antoine Hegelin round out your top 10. Note 2 Coanda drivers in the front row of your grid. Note the fact that you have got yourself 2 Team Redline drivers, but also 2 drivers from Core Sim Racing and 3 drivers from Apex Racing UK. Joined, of course, by Martin Piatella in that 3rd Coanda Sim Sports car. Down, you've got your first Radicals Online driver, Daniel Arndt Wernsing in 11th. You've got Kevin Ellis Jr. in 12th. Highest placed Vortex Sim Racing driver, that is Balas Remniak. Orion Race Teams, David Accord in 14th. 15th place is Ficarra, number 13 machine for Thrustmaster Vivano Racing. There's a look then at the remainder of your results that are coming up on your screen for you right about now. We will step aside for 2 moments here on RaceSpotTV. When we come back, we'll talk about that qualifying lap by Martin Cronke. You're watching RaceSpotTV on iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV here on iRacing Live. This is the 9th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series from Circuit Spa Francorchamps, and we're going to start off then by showing you the pole lap from the driver of Martin-Cronchet. And again, he does this every time he gets a pole position, Johnny. He just goes out and finds ways saying, look, I'm head and shoulders above all of you.
Yeah, exactly. He's just insanely quick, and round after round, I think if any track's going to exemplify how strong he is, it's Spa. And this is a track where we've seen him in the 24 Hours of Spa. We've seen him last year in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. It's a track he's mastered, and he's so quick around. And for the historicness and difficulty that is this circuit, he's really demoralizes people by looking at how good he is. So impressive stuff, and even improved on his pole time on the second time around, and his first lap would have done it anyway, so good stuff.
I'm not entirely sure if I can remember if it was 0 or not, but Martin-Cronchet, when he did the RaceSpotTV 24 Hours of Spa, he clearly had less than 10 incident points in his stint over 6 hours. He knows this track like the back of his hand, but of course that's all well and good, Johnny, but we're now into the almost chase-like situation now. Drop weeks, they are a thing of the past. In the last 4 rounds, whatever you get, that's your score.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know what? He does have that 49-point advantage on Bottas, so I think he's more than comfortable heading into these final rounds. He's just going to bring it home right now, the championship. And he's on pole position once again, by the way, because Mitchell de Jong did steal it from him last time around. I think that's the next guy we sort of focus on, is his teammate Mitchell de Jong on the front row with him. He's really been his best challenger too this season. They really mastered this car, this setup, and the skill, and they've really tailored it to their styles so well. And hats off to them. But the race is coming up, Will. We're acting like they won the race. We have to wait until they actually cross the checkered flag in about an hour and a half.
Indeed so. There's 30 drivers lining up on the starting grid here today. One of those drivers not lining up. That is Gregor Houtu. In terms of the championship, you can now pretty much say that it's over for Gregor Houtu in 2017. One thing, though, that isn't over is World's Fastest Gamer. World's Fastest Gamer will be coming to RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live for 4 weeks starting on September the 17th. See some of the best sim racers in the world go head-to-head in this McLaren for the opportunity to go to the finals and take part in what is going to be the greatest prize in all of sim racing, the chance to become the official simulator driver for McLaren, Johnny.
Yeah, that's going to be incredible, and I think Houtu will put in a lot of time into that, although no matter what he does, he'll be qualified everywhere. So, you know, he's had so much success in the past and historically. Looking forward to that as well. And these guys at the top of their game right now in the World Championship, we want to see as many of these guys out in the grid, but they're also going to mix it with those who don't have a World Championship license. The likes of names, hopefully, that I want to see. Fredrik Rasmussen, for example, who's insanely quick in any vehicle you put him in, and lots of other people too. So let's all see him out there at the World's Fastest Gamer, which you're covering too, by the way.
Indeed so. Join myself, Jake Sperry, and Paul Smith for that one, of course. Paul, the lead commentator for RaceSpot Race Day, and well, Bottas and Gregor Houtu have already punched their ticket because they got themselves a qualification into the finals. Of course, Bottas for the fact that he won the Visa Prix that took place about a few months ago, and then of course Gregor Houtu for being a five-time world champion of Grand Prix racing here on iRacing. But will it be Martin-Cronchet who joins him? Will it be another driver? You have to find out. 17th of September onwards for World's Fastest Gamer, brought to you by McLaren here on RaceSpotTV and also on iRacing Live. And Johnny, we are really excited for that one.
Yep, definitely are. So, well, it's one step at a time. Will, you know, I'm excited for that, but we also have a race coming up here too.
I know.
It's just, there's so much to handle, though. It's so much going on in sim racing. Definitely looking forward to it. I want to go back to Gregor Houtu quickly before our pre-race coverage ends. This is actually, he hasn't led a lap this season, and as far as I know, I don't remember seeing Gregor Houtu perform not as well as he has in any other season in his career.
He's still better than
Partly
95% of drivers. That's the issue, though, isn't he?
He's still better than 99.9% of other drivers, which is the issue. But I think most of the issue this season is he has been on the podium. He has been really second best or even third best most of the time. It's just that, since the move to his new place and everything, he just hasn't had time to commit to the series. What's the next step for his career right now? Because he is 37 years of age. He celebrates that 38th birthday at the end of September. So, is this the time where sort of age catches up to you in reaction time? Although Montoya and Schumacher would have something else to say with that because they were in their 40s and still doing well. Scott Dixon, lots of names.
There's so many people you could say, just as soon as they hit 40. I mean, Mario, for example, the great Mario Andretti, he raced well into his prime time years. But
how old's Tony Kanaan as well? He's in his 40s, isn't he? I think.
I would never say man's age on a broadcast.
Okay.
Ever.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. But it's worth noting that Gregor Husu hasn't led a lap this season, but arguably he is still the best driver on Team Redline because he's outperformed Ollie Packard, he's outperformed Bono House, and we actually are going to have to go to the eSports world and we will settle this debate once and for all because he has said it's Bono House, not Bono Huis.
It's Bono House.
He said
easy. It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not Bono House. It's not Bono Hui. It's Bono House. He's pronounced it correctly. I've known that for years, and that's it. Simple as that. So I think his name pronunciation is the least of his worries. I really think he'd want to be. I really think he'd want to be top of the timing sheets. Is the big worry, but he's got $225,000, whatever, to laugh about too with his wrong pronunciation of his name.
Yep, Paul Matthew Smith, bring it on.
Well, I was about to say, you talk about his age. It's all about the preparation that you take into this, and as you were saying with him having the whole house move and things like that he's not had the time to prepare and things like that, so that's not helped. But this is a whole new thing with the world's fastest gamer. This is an entirely different competition, and I think he will be focusing all of his efforts on that competition, and we could see him just bring it to another level because he'll be just laser focused on that competition.
Well, let's think about today's race then. We have got ourselves, of course, Martin Kroenke out front here, Paul. Every time he's basically led the first lap, he's won the race. It's as simple as that. He's led it, of course, won every race this season, but this is now a streak that goes back to 2016. It's almost been a year-long winning streak for Martin Kroenke. Realistically, we are now into a bit of an Undertaker situation. Can anyone beat, or let's be more up-to-date, an Oscar situation? Can anyone beat Martin Kroenke this season?
I mean, I've said it previously, and I'll say it again. I just don't see anyone beating him this season. I would love to see him go undefeated. I know Jonathan doesn't agree with that, but I would love to see him go undefeated because it would be one heck of an achievement to go the entire season as a race winner in every single race. I know it's not good for the competition, but he is at that level at the moment. And and I said this in the RaceSpot Race Day coverage, Spa-Francorchamps has the opportunity of bringing up that little bit of an extra element to it. It has opportunities for people to overtake, to get those opportunities. Look what happened last season. That instant into turn number one. It can all change just on that first corner at the start of the race.
And just quickly to add on that, even if Kroenke does go undefeated this season, it won't be the longest win streak we've had in the World Championship anyway. Yet. So he's got a lot of work to do yet. And you never know. He could win the next 3 seasons straight, which hopefully doesn't happen. But he could still do that. So you never know when it's going to end. I mean, he currently, last time he finished off the top step of the podium was last year at the Nürburgring, second last round. So he's definitely got a lot more to come after this. And Kevin Ellis Jr., by the way, pointed this out to me before the race. A driver racing out there today, qualified P12 ahead of this event, that he noticed that Martin's never actually finished outside the top 5 in the past 3 seasons. Actually, the last time he didn't finish outside the top 5 was in 2014 at VIR, round 7. That's incredible.
Yep. So for Martin Kroenke, ultra consistent has been his approach, but it's now time for the talking to stop. We head ourselves into a no more mistakes mode here in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, because of here on in, every race matters. No drop weeks, nothing to hide. So, Can Martin Kroenke still do it? Make it 9 from 9? Join us in a few moments' time here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
Welcome to the Ardennes Mountains. Welcome to Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, and welcome to round number 9 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, where now you can't put a foot wrong. The last 4 rounds of the championship means that you do not get a drop week. That means if you put a foot wrong, if you crash or get crashed into, well, that's going to hurt your chance of going for a championship. And for Martin Kroenke, he's not put a foot wrong all season long. Well, he's done 1 or 2, but nothing that dramatic. But now, he's got to make sure that he finishes every race with the victory, which is useful if you get pole position, which is just what he did here today. Pole position then for Martin Kroenke. No Gregor Hutu, his teammate alongside of him. But Spa has a very, very tight first corner, leading into one of the fastest runs in motorsports, and that always means that you can end up with just a little bit of drama. Who knows what's going to happen then in the 40-something laps that will take place here today in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. It's Wolverhampton along with Jonathan Simon. Johnny, how's it going, buddy?
It's going very well. Another exciting round coming up around the 7 kilometers of Spa, 4.3 miles, 20 turns, 9 of those to the left, the other 11 to the right. 44 laps of racing, Will, and it's going to be a short event here today because we cover those 44 laps quite quickly compared to a round at a slower circuit or something where it takes a lot longer. You mentioned the championship picture before. It looks like it's out of hands for most drivers, although mathematically it's still possible. The main key is really to mastering this circuit as well. You look at your high-speed balance, your late braking, or your confidence on the left foot as well, going into a lot of these corners. It's quite an exciting weekend every single year, Spa. This is why it's one of the best racing circuits on the planet.
Yeah, in fact, let's have a look through your championship standings so far. And it is the driver of Martin-Croncay who currently leads away. He does so with 273 points over Bonnerhouse there. 224 points for him. Matt Backham in third place, 210 points. Marty Piatella in fourth. Fifth place goes to Frank Shawhorse. Gregor Hutu, you would argue now, has given up on the 2017 championship. 160 points. Mathematically, he could still do so. Realistically, Johnny, there's no chance he'll ever be able to gain back 113 points in 4 rounds.
Yeah, it'd take a miracle from him, basically. So I think he's out of the championship picture for sure. Very underrated has been Marcus Jensen, who's in that 6th position. Kazuki Umeshima as well, 7th. So those guys, very impressive as well. No Mac Backham today, which we mentioned, due to his race suspension for his antics on lap 1. The best and worst start in the IWC GPS history, which we like to call it. And no Gregor Hutu, as we mentioned here either today, is... just sad to not see him as committed to this series, Will, as other years. But there's always all good things come to an end sometime soon. And I hope this isn't the end for Gregor. I hope he does come back revitalized at least next season.
Yeah, so do I. There's your grid then running into this event. Martin-Croncay, pole position 146.129. Mitchell de Jong starting alongside him. Coanda lockout of the grid. Frank Shawhorse in third place, and then Pashlis Gergis there in the outside of row number 2. Heading on back, it's Marcus Jensen in the 5th position, Isaac Price in 6th. You know, Johnny, that's when you're supposed to start talking.
No, okay. I was just waiting for you. I thought you were going to go through the rest of the grid, but Piatella down there 7th as well. Rounding out the top 10, Anton Hegelin as well, who's been consistently strong. So Bonnerhouse starting from 9th. That's going to be interesting here today. He's in front of Anton Hegelin. He's on that 5th row. Down the order 2, Kevin Ellis Jr. in 12th. He's shown some late season improvement. What can he do from that 6th row? I'd also like to see a couple of those Radicals guys behind. Paul Ilbrink, Mogar Filio, 25th and 26th. Do they have the pace to really show some competitiveness this round? But final things as well, DRS available, we know, across the Kemmel Straight too, so and across that main straight on the run from the final chicane to La Source. So plenty of overtaking opportunities here today.
Oh yes, especially in that mid-pack. That mid-pack will be very close here today. Having looked down your field right now, keep an eye out on Radicals, by the way. They qualified poorly, however, this is a track they're normally pretty good at. 30 drivers have set themselves a time for this event here today. 30 drivers will soon line up on the starting grid. Mitchell de Jong, we'll have a look on board of him. He is just doing one of these standard pit-in tests, as we call it here, Johnny, making sure that everything's running on that race car before he heads himself down to the grid. Martin-Croncay, we've got to remember, hasn't had the best of starts over the last couple of rounds.
No, he hasn't, so that's something very important to look out for. And I really like de Jong doing that sort of pit test to end his lap here and end warm-up, because the pit entry at Spa is so tight. You've got 2 big fat white walls on either side of you, and if you make a mistake, we've seen races over really at this stage as a few of the drivers make some practice starts. Bonnerhouse in front, Mitchell de Jong behind, and you really just have to brake to those white cones and make sure you don't exceed the pit speed limit. But that run into La Source, remember the catastrophe we had here last season, Will? hopefully we don't see that here today.
Yeah, indeed. So there's a look at Martin Kroenke. He will be taking the head of the field in just 1 moment's time as we get ready to go racing then. 10 seconds remaining of practice. Johnny, final thoughts before we go green.
You know what? This grid right now is shuffled a little bit. Jurgis is very impressive from 4th on the grid. Hopefully he can sustain some strong pace this race. Hopefully that qualifying time wasn't a fluke. Very impressive from the rookie and from a good friend of mine too, who I'm really happy for there in P4.
Yeah, from one fluke to another, Jamie Fluke is in 6th place here today. In terms of practice, in terms of the grid, he actually will be starting in P number 8. So, drivers now will begin to line themselves up on the starting grid. This is Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most historic racetracks in the world, where we go racing for 44 laps here this afternoon. Track conditions, well, they're not that bad, actually. But we'll run that through you during the race in just 1 second's time as the drivers, we say, now head themselves up onto that starting grid, getting themselves ready to go racing. For Martin Kroenke, he has won every single round of the championship so far. Can he do it again here today? 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 63% relative humidity, wind speeds of 17 kilometers an hour. Engines are revving. We get ready to go racing here in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway as Kroenke then gets the lead into turn number 1. Lots of weaving down towards the rear end of your field. Very good start by the driver of Francorchamps. He gets himself then a run side by side with De Jong for the moment as they head themselves down into Eau Rouge. Can't do anything as they actually get to the bottom of the hill as they work themselves up. It's all single file now as they all try to find gaps. There is a bit of two-wide racing going on. Oh, we've got a crash. It's Ilka Harpala.
Back to back. Yep.
Here's a replay. Ilka Harpala, we've been battling it out with a Radicals Online driver. 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hits, 4 hits, and that's Daniel Arndt Wernzing there, down one of the fastest corners in motorsports, and that puts Harpala into the wall, also puts Daniel Arndt Wernzing, I would say, out of this event here today. Replay now from on board with Daniel Arndt Wernzing, because that was not a good start to his motor race at all there, Johnny.
No, that's devastating. Definitely not what we want to see. So Wernzing out from 11th on the grid, and it was just clumsy going into Rouge. Everybody trying to fight for that one piece of tarmac, one piece of the racetrack, and Wernzing, he just got clipped from behind by Ilka Harpala, and there was just no room for all of them. So lots of slicing and dicing, but at the front anyway, it's still Kroenke leading from De Jong from Schotters. Jurgis at the start was the one weaving to the inside to defend from the man who started in 5th place, Marcus Jensen, and Jurgis did a good job of that and maintains 4th.
Yeah, he does indeed. Let's have a look actually. There is Gergis there in the course in Racing Machine. Martin Piatella in 5th place, Marcus Jensen in 6th, Isaac Price in the 7th position. But as we head on down, side by side going on right now, this is Kazuki Umeshima versus number 13 machine of Maximiliano Ficarra. Umeshima up into the 13th place. He's up 3 places already here today, as behind Diego Oliveira trying to scrap it out with Jake Sturgis. Sturgis has not had the best of years, of course, in this NX racing car, compared to what I would call his heyday in the World Championship Series.
Yeah, and this is his first or second race of the season. First time we've seen him since Road America. So haven't seen Jake Sturgis much this time around in 2017, but he hopes for a strong result here today. He's got a run here on Remignac possibly, although I think it's a bit too far behind. No DRS at this stage of the race, so nothing to aid the drivers through on lap 2 of 44. As they head through Le Com goes Sturgis. No way to get past. And they head towards Rivage. So still at the moment here, some good battles. Let's check on the progress of Bono Haas. He is right behind Isaac Price, and he could possibly have a run here on the run down to Pouan.
Yeah, we just also saw Antoine Hegling going wide down at Le Com. That gave him the loss of about 3 positions. He was trying to get right up behind the driver of David Decor, was not able to do so. On board of Bono Haas right now versus that driver of Isaac Price. And again, you can't really pass through here, and House is going to have to hope that he gets DRS running in his favor, I would say, as we would head ourselves onto lap number 3.
Yeah, so poor stuff from Hegelen, just a silly error there at this stage of the race. It's not something you should be making, but that's not the end of the world. He's still in the top 10, and he had such an immense start too, so it's a bit disappointing for him, but he's right now behind David Corps. And good to see David Corps from 14th up into 9th. I like that start.
Yeah, that was also partially caused by the bit of mayhem we had on lap number 1 down at Air Rouge. Live timing and scoring is available, ladies and gentlemen. Just visit RaceSpotTV/time and get social with us on Facebook here as well. Omashima down to the inside of Kevin Ellis Jr. And that now is for P number 12.
Yeah, here we go. So Kevin Ellis Jr. having a look here into Eau Rouge as well, but he's have to slot behind Kazuki Umashima. Now here they're going to go. Flick on DRS for the first time this race. Ellis Jr. has it. So does Umashima to defend. Here are the two of them. Ellis Jr. has to go for the switchback, and it may not work going into Les Combes. Umashima more than experienced. Is that a car off as well going into Les Combes?
Is that's another Apex machine? That might be Jamie Fluke, actually. The second Apex car we've had go off down at Les Combes in this event so far. This is only lap number 3 of 42, 44 even as well. And it wasn't Jamie Fluke. That actually was an Orion race team car of David Corps.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so David Corps there making a mistake just after we praised his great start. So he's currently in that 9th position. Didn't lose out from it, more importantly, but he's got a full rear mirror of Anton Hegelin behind, and Hegelin's still young and still feisty, so he's definitely not going to play it safe at this point of the race for sure. And so De Corps, though, the best thing is that he didn't lose too much time from that.
No, he didn't. And also one thing worth noting is that even though Cronke hasn't yet put a DRS gap between himself and Mitchell de Jong, de Jong has put a DRS gap between himself and the leading Team Redline car. That is Frank Shawhorse. The gap is 1.2 seconds right now as they cross the start finish line. In fact, up to 1.3 down into La Source they come once again. And that's really important right now for Martin Cronke, because we know that de Jong is unlikely, shall we say, to challenge Cronke for the race lead. However, the 1.4 second advantage will mean that they don't have to yet worry about that Team Redline threat behind.
No, they don't. So it's important for them to grab that 1-2, see if Shottos can take the fight to him. I like this fight as well going on between Jurgis and Jensen for P5 right now as Piatella's made his way through. Jensen goes through as well going into Les Combes.
So Jensen then just holds that inside line tightly. He will be able to move that JCL Apex Racing UK machine up into the 12th place there. You can see behind is Pascalis Gergis just losing a spot. Behind Bonner House versus Isaac Price right now is a gap of 0.2 per second through No Name Corner. Bruxelles, call it what you will, down in towards Pouin for the 4th time in this event. And actually, House is looking consistent, but I wouldn't say that fast.
Well, he is stuck behind Isaac Price, so the dirty air makes a huge difference in this car as they head towards turns 13 and 14. Here's the left-hander, and these two corners coming up. Stavilo, curb fall for it. Never a good corner when you have dirty air, but Bono seems to be faster than Isaac Price, I think. Here's that corner where you really need all that high-speed grip. Third spring's doing all the work. Ride heights need to be ideal, making sure it, at this stage of the race anyway, with a heavier and fatter fuel tank than you'd have towards the end of the event, you have to make sure that the ride heights are quite ideal.
We've got ourselves Jake Sturgis looking to go side by side with Ficarra. He's moved himself up into 14th place for the time being then. Drivers who are classified as out of this event as Sturgis gets a load of opposite lock on the exit of that final corner, the bus stop. That gives Ficarra the opportunity to make a move down to the inside into La Source. He cannot do so. Drivers out. Daniel Arndt Wernsing, of course, we saw his horrific incident there with Ilka Harpala. Stephen Michaels, Bernard Kern, and Mogar Philo are all classified as out of this event on lap number 1. Martin Cronke versus Mitchell de Jong. De Jong's close right up to the rear, though, of Martin Cronke.
Yep, and oh, goodness me, I had one eye on a battle with Isaac Price, Bonahas, Anton Hegelin, and there may have been contact between Hegelin and Price there on the straight. So here's Bonahas actually losing 2 positions. When have I ever said that throughout sim racing's history?
Yeah, let's get ourselves a replay then from Bono House's perspective. What just happened with him as he worked himself up the hill Here's a replay then from our aerial coverage brought to you by And One Design. Then up the hill will come the driver of Bono House. Does he get a slowdown penalty on the exit of Radio? I think that, yeah, he got a slowdown penalty on the exit of Radio because they go 3 wide around him. And then you see Isaac Price and Gergis there almost locking wheels, almost putting both of them out of this event.
Yeah, so Higelin as well, and then going into Rivage, that was very close between House and Higelin, and that was where I think Price just was, I'm sure he knew Higelin was behind, but at the same time I think maybe he just wanted the position more, and it ended quite dramatically more than that. So I'm glad to see them all pointing in a straight line. At the same time though, I've seeing Bono lose 2 positions, I've hardly ever seen that in his sim racing career.
Kazuki Umeshima, P number 12 versus Jamie Fluke in P number 11. This little scrap going on. Let's give you some early RaceSpotTV fan immersion. Just ahead of them, actually, you've got yourself Jamie Fluke, David Course going at it. That is a really close battle right now for P number 10, 11, 12 on track. Marcus Jensen in P number 5 has got some technical difficulties, but passes Gergis there, was very close behind him a moment ago. Bono House still scrapping it out with Isaac Price. Let's stick it with Bono House, Isaac Price for a moment, Johnny, whilst keeping half an ear to that battle going on for P10 through to P number 14.
Yeah, here's Bono going through 13 and 14 again. You want to use that inside curve through here. It does ease the car into the corner slightly nicely and a little bit more. Very slippery curb there. That's very underrated in terms of how slippery that curb can be. Trying to make sure you don't put all 4 wheels on it and find yourself in the barrier 2 seconds later. Through Blanchemont, brilliant corner this. We saw some good side-by-side battling in our support series and the Porsche Super Cup through here. Then through the final chicane. This has been remodeled throughout the years, hasn't it, Will? It used to be a bus stop. It used to just be a simple corner. Now it is this simple right-left, which they've made it. And here's Bono with DRS.
Yeah, so Bono in towards La Source. Cannot do anything. Still got the driver of Antoine Hegelin right behind as well. As there you can see the driver of David Decour currently scored in 10th place. We have got a couple of issues with our timing and scoring. That's because of technical issues with Marcus Jensen, but we'll talk you through what's going on track here. As Bono House, Isaac Price, as they come down into the Kemmel straightaway. Can Bono House do anything? The answer to that question actually is going to be no, because Bono House cannot get the straight line speed advantage.
And I tell you what, that's going to be a big challenge for him this race. It doesn't look like Redline has any straight line speed. And so Schottor's Haas are going to struggle. And especially when Bono lost that position due to the slowdown, it could be much worse than we thought. And he may have to rely on strategy, because look through the middle sector here, Will. He gets very close to Isaac Price. Pouon's a brilliant corner to show how much downforce and speed Bono has. And even with dirty air, he's able to keep that close to Isaac Price. I think that's quite impressive, but he's going to lose all that time across the straight.
He is indeed. As just to let you know, Martin Kroenke has now pulled out a 1.1 second advantage over Mitchell de Jong. And actually, de Jong's lost himself that 7-8 tenths per second over the course of the last 2 or 3 laps or so, as our lap graphic will now show you, because of the fact that, you know, he's lost little bits here and there, but Kroenke has just pulled out all of a sudden on this last lap. And now the gap's up to 1.4 seconds. Frank Shawhorse a further 2.2 back.
Yep, so let's see if it's like he's slowly killing him. You know? He does it 10th by 10th, lap after lap. Only lap 8 of 44. So plenty of time remaining in this event. And we know our pit stop window at least opens on lap 15. So lap 15 to lap 29, very big first stop window, but generally you're going to see guys come in earlier, so we could see even lap 14 as early as that, which I've been hearing. So That would be very impressive if someone comes in that early, and I think that's where Bono needs to think, okay, maybe I need to be a guy who comes in on lap 14.
Yeah, we've got damage to Ballas Remniak. I'm just trying to work out where this was for him. But as a consequence, he has come on towards pit road very early on. I think it was around La Corma area of the racetrack, because you can see at this point, his car looked fine. He ended up getting some damage. Anywhere between here and I would say about Rivage. So Ballas Remniak is now classified as on pit road, having substantial repairs done to that number 17 Vortex sim racing machine. Just trying to work out exactly where that happened on track. But I would have thought it was around here, but actually it was a little bit later on than that for Ballas Remniak. But he was getting steamrolled already by a couple of cars. He's now classified as P number 23. Last driver in the car. There we are. What a big incident down at Pouin we just saw. Oh my word. That was a wicked incident down at Pouin there. We missed it, Johnny. We've got a replay up now, but I see Ballas Remniak involved. A driver flipping into the air and more. And this was all around. And we see there was an Apex Racing UK machine involved in that one. You've got the number 13 machine that you can see. Ficarra involved in that one as well. Ficarra is the one that went for the ride, but what a big incident down in your mid-pack.
Yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr. was the Apex car as well. At least looking at the back of his rear wing. It says Ellis, so I'm assuming it's Kevin Ellis Jr. Wow, that was catastrophic there.
Sturgis lost it first.
Yeah, so I think Sturgis he went in hot, didn't he? Went in hot into the corner, collected Ellis Jr. So a bit of scruffiness from Jake Sturgis. It has been a while since we've seen him in the series this season, but no reason to put your head down. You know, drivers make mistakes all the time. It's just, just unfortunate that it's ended a few races there, or at least really ruined a few races is a better way to put it.
Yeah, Martin Cronke, though, does continue to lead by 1.3 seconds over Mitchell de Jong. Frank Shawhorse is in 4th place. Martin Piatella, in 4th place. Marcus Jensen rounding out your top 5. Shawhorse on that podium right now, but is 8.6 seconds behind Martin Cronke already. Kazuki Umeshima versus David Decor. That one's going on for P number 11 on tracks. We have a look there on board with Kazuki Umeshima. But on House versus Isaac Price, they've got company in the form of Patlis Gergis right now, but that is 2 core sim racing drivers trying to hold off Bunner House.
Yep, and so Gergis actually might have over-qualified for his potential, because right now he's really suffering in the race pace phase, and he's holding up his teammate Isaac Price, so this is never good. But Gergis, I don't think really would let him through at the moment, because that would be risky in terms of letting Bono through. And right now, I think Price and Gergis will be keeping Bono behind just because of his straight line speed. Just the fact that he doesn't have any, or lack of. So here they go in the final chicane. Price is pushing. Saw him sliding through there as well.
Yeah, let's have a look on board actually with Isaac Price. And actually he loses a bit of time there through the bus stop chicane, but he can well set up an opportunity on the exit of this corner, last source, towards his teammate, Patlis Gergis. The gap is classified as 5 tenths per second. If it's less than 3 tenths coming up the exit of Radion, then you've got the opportunity to make a pass. But these 2 cars, of course, saying teammates are likely to know exactly how the car handles. And again, Price cannot do anything there on the run down into Le Corne. Go on.
And behind, Higgins going past Bonahus. So Higgins made up a position here. He's into 8th, and the struggles continue for Bono.
Yeah, and that's surprising in some ways, but not in others, because we know traditionally the Apex cars and the Inex cars in particular, they'll put a little bit less wing on and try and get their car tuned for top speed. For that reason, overtaking drivers. House's car, Redline's car generally don't do so.
Yeah, they don't. So even with all the ERS at hand for him, they just, I think they've gone wrong with the setup here. And this is what we saw last year at Indianapolis. So the error was for Redline last year that they just had too much drag on the car and they suffered in terms of battles. They fixed that for Indianapolis, I thought, but now they've gone with that approach for Spa and it just doesn't work. It's fine for Shawhorse because he has no traffic, but I don't think they were expecting Bono to qualify in the mid-pack. So and it's never a good feeling too, Will, because I've been in races too where I know, I butchered qualifying, I should have been higher, and I've set this car up for no straight line speed. And it's just, it seriously is your chin drops to the floor. You look like that painting. What's that painting called with the chin to the floor? I don't know what it is, but
Exactly what you mean.
yeah, it looks that bad.
Yeah. Yuta Saito, by the way, rear end of the top 20, battling it out with Dion Vergers right now. So this is Orion Race Team versus Radicals online for 20th place. Dion Vergers, a better run, actually, I would say, out of Stavolo number 1. Yuta Saito will follow through as they come through Curve of Paul Frere towards Blanchimont then on this lap number 11 even, of 44. Go back to live coverage and show you these two drivers. Apologies there for being on replay for a couple of moments longer than we should have. But we've got ourselves, and these two drivers again were on board with that driver of Yuta Saito as they head themselves down the hill, through the hill, up the hill. And no change.
Great.
Yeah.
No change. So DRS though for Saito, which is important. He's also lacking some straight line speed, and look at that from Dion Vergers. So without DRS, he's almost as quick as Saito in a straight line, and through the very tight right-hander of turn 9, downhill braking zone, and Saito has a look there. He tries to put the pressure on, but it doesn't phase Dion Vergers at all.
But that's what we've been talking about, really, Johnny. That's how tough it is to set your car up here for Spa, because Radicals, again, we know they will generally set their car up for races here, but he just cannot find a way past, has that driver of Yuta Saito. Well, Mishima, on the flip side, though, has found a way in that setup to do so.
Yeah, your aero plays a huge part in this event, and then we're seeing that in terms of you want the trade-off to be straight line speed, but you also don't want to lose too much through the middle part of the lap. So that's a big difference. And as I mentioned, if you're a confident braker, those are generally the people that do well at Spa, those who are able to maximize the width of the racetrack. They're not afraid to take it right up to the white lines and on the edge of the grass. And it really is a driver's track, this place.
As we head ourselves then past 1/4 distance here, let's give you a run through of your movers and shakers in this event so far. And we know that Kroenke, De Jong and Chortos have not changed places, but kind of without us even thinking about it, Martin Piatella is up into 4th position here, Johnny. He's your biggest mover inside your top 10.
Yeah, he's done a good job. He quietly has done that too, because we know Jurgis started from 4th, Jensen was 5th, Price was 6th, and Piatella's up in front of all of them. So he's just got Chortos to catch up to, and I think he's sort of matching him for pace, which is never good. So he might have to do something different on strategy and maybe pit a bit later than Chortos and then catch him towards the end of the event with fresh rubber is probably his best option at the moment.
As we now have a look further down in your field, you can see that Antoine Hegelin, he is up, well, was up 2 places, but actually what has happened to Antoine Hegelin? Antoine Hegelin has had himself some form of technical issues because he's out of this event, or has he just had a crash? Let's have a look.
I think
go on.
I think he's had a crash, yeah. I agree with you. Have a look, yeah. So here we go.
Well, okay, let's try and find the tape if we can. On board right now with Antoine Hegelin, but he's fallen down the field. Either this is going to be technical difficulties for him, or he's had a crash. He was right behind Isaac Price at the time that we're having a look on board of him now. Exiting La Source, heading himself down the hill. Johnny, any info?
I think he's crashed at the top of Eau Rouge. So, yeah, his race is over. And
big crash.
He's been mortal combated with the wall too. He's been just pinned there and nailed, and his race is done.
Finished.
So, yeah, it looked that way anyway. There's a very abnormal crash that happened. The tank slapper happened so late. It's like he had a huge tank slapper, and it happened at the exit of the corner. I've never seen that before so late at the top of Eau Rouge.
We have ourselves still the battle going on between Pashlis Gergis and Isaac Price. That is for 6th place on track. As behind, you've got yourself Daniel Bieder versus Jorge Montanes. We don't actually often spend enough time talking about the driver of Daniel Bieder, so let's focus on him for the moment then. Positive sim racing driver, only Israeli ever in the history of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and he's got Jorge Montanes from the Portugal Spanish team Iberia. They are in 14th place, but also Montanes has Paul Ilbrink right behind him.
Yeah, and Daniel Bieder is somebody I've raced against before, so Didn't quite spend too much time on the racetrack with him, but he was around there. I remember seeing his name on the results sheets, and I'm like, oh, he's 4 positions away from me or something. So a guy that I've been familiar with, and he's Positive Sim Racing, who's got such a brilliant team owner, and Javier Alvarez, who's trying to build up a strong team. I read an article as well with Javier, how he talked about the dominant teams like Redline, Coanda. It's so hard to get to that stage because they almost monopolize, if that's a word, they almost create a monopoly in terms of drivers in sim racing. They get all the best drivers, and all the strong drivers want to go there. So it's so hard to build a great team. And that's where I think Core Sim Racing next season could be one of the strongest teams on the grid if they get things right.
It could well be, as here's Jorge Montanes. We're on board of him versus Paul Ilbrink. And Montanes looking down to the ultra inside line about, oh, that's because he's got a car on his outside. That is Victor Prieto as Montanes goes off there down at the chicane.
Yep. Oh. Here he goes now. He's still fighting away, isn't he, with Victor Prieto. Up the inside at La Source. This is going to be tight. Prieto gives him space. Good spatial awareness on the exit. Both of them throttle out of La Source. And they're going to be alongside each other going into a Rouge possibly. No, Prieto slots himself in front.
Yeah, there's a replay then, a second look if we were to into the bus stop chicane with the driver of Jorge Montanes. Just gets a little bit loose there as he ran onto that dirty line through the bus stop chicane, battered it out with Hugo Prieto for a couple of corners. Nothing there really for him to help out on. He is now down into Victor Prieto, the 17th position on track, keeping one eye still on Bono House versus Isaac Price versus Pashas Gergis. Nothing's really changed between these two drivers.
No, nothing. So this is not really killing Isaac Price's race, but it's at least making it a little bit more interesting than it should be, because we don't know if Isaac could pull away from the guys behind or whether or not Bono is actually quicker than these three. This is a very interesting dilemma. We're entering a pit window, by the way, Will. So when Kroenke crosses the line, which he will do in a few seconds' time, pit window will be open. And we'll see if anybody from, even if Bono House actually enters the pits, it'll be a good bet for him.
Yeah, so it's such a wide pit window here because it's such a racetrack where you're on throttle for so long, but also because it's such a long track as well, pit window here is a very, very wide one. So we may expect to see one or two drivers on pit road in a few moments' time. In the meanwhile, let's run on board with Isaac Price through sector number 1. Johnny, talk us through here down to Rivage.
Well, here's full throttle, nice and simple. You sort of take a break through this section of the racetrack because sometimes you can have one hand in your steering wheel through a Rouge, making adjustments, grabbing a drink if you need to too. And we know these sim racers don't have these special drink gadgets or anything. But here's Price with DRS and straight past Gergis for P6. Brilliant timing there on the RaceSpot fan immersion.
Isaac Price then, exit of Lacan, down and towards Rivage he will come. And still, he's got himself Gergis, House, Fluke, etc. behind him. Nice little battle going on. We have seen Tomo Mejlek, by the way. He's come on towards pit road. He's made himself a pit stop of 4 seconds. That looks like a scheduled pit stop on lap number 13 of this event here, Johnny. Well, actually, no, lap number 12.
Yeah, he might just be going early, so you never know. But I'm more intrigued with Bono Haas here on Gergis, because this is the first time Bono's been stuck behind somebody else for a change, although it's another core car. So very important here to see how this goes, as Gergis is really failing under pressure. I think those tyres are almost shot.
Well, we'll find out there. There's a look at the ERS then recovery system being used by Gergis to get some more of that electronic recovery into his car. Bono House then will have to stay behind through that sweeping left-hander down at Blanchimont. But he can't make the move down into the bus stop chicane, Ken House. So, House? Bono House, of course. So, House on the exit of turn, final corner, the bus stop chicane comes out. He cannot do anything, so Gergis moves himself ahead of Bono House. And again, House cannot capitalize, although this may well be his best opportunity now. On the exit of La Source, that long run down the hill. Also worth noting, of course, that Gergis is 6 tenths of a second behind his teammate. This will help House out a little bit in terms of that straight line speed advantage. But House, on the exit of that corner, is actually not even able to get to the same speed as Gerges.
No, and he has to watch out for Jamie Fluke behind. So Fluke now replaces Higelin in that apex threat. And so this is where Bono gains all his time, but he just can't find a way past Gerges. He has to do something different. If not, he doesn't want to risk his race too. And, you know, if you told Pascalis Gerges last year that he'd be in a scrap with Bono Haas on the racetrack, he'd be laughing. It's incredible for Gerges right now to be in P7. Here they go through Pouon. And Bono, yeah, he's just not going to be close. So it has to be done through pit stops. Although look at the exit here into 13. Is it possible? Oh, that's close.
Locks a brake as well for good measure.
He just, he really thought about it. It's just the problem with that corner there, turn 13, Will, is that you trail brake through there. So you might think you can throw it up the inside like a dive bomb, but the driver in front also throwing into the corner too. So it's a very difficult spot to overtake.
Yeah, as behind, you've also got Paul Ilbrink versus Kevin Ellis Jr., 13th versus 14th place. And also Dion Verges versus Victor Prato. Prato, of course, we saw him earlier on our webcast. But Gerges versus House, that is still the big one as they exit again the bus stop chicane. No takers yet on towards pit road. That is worth noting here today. That you talked about the pit window being open, Johnny, but no one's yet taken the opportunity to come down.
And no reason for Bonner to do so because he's straight past Gerges into turn 1. And on the exit, though, will Gerges reclaim the position, which is more important here because he has that top-end speed.
Well, he's having a look at a replay then on board of Bonner House. This is how he got that position back. We do expect a challenge as they come up the hill, so it's going to have to be a quick replay there for Bonner House as he moved himself up into P number 7. But now, the look between these two drivers side by side. House, will he hold on? Yes, because now Fluke down to the inside of Gerges and turn around goes Fluke up into the air because he's hit there by a Radicals Online driver. So Fluke's there. His race for the moment is temporarily in deficit. Here's a replay. Jamie Fluke in towards Lecombe on the outside of Gerges. They'd make a slight bit of contact and then Fluke gets turned around as a consequence, then gets hit by a Radicals car.
Yeah, not sure what to say on that, but as long as Fluke doesn't have too much damage, that's what I'm hoping, because it was really neither of their fault there, so racing incident. But regardless, I think Fluke, when he comes into the pit stop, if he doesn't have a long stop, he'll be fine. If he doesn't have too much damage. The same for Umashima, because he just had nowhere to go. He tried to take to the grass, but there was not much there. But yeah, still, so no one taking to that early pit window, which you mentioned before, Will. I want to go back to that. Very interesting, though. And I think Gerges is right now struggling with his tyres. Might be someone to do so.
Yeah, and also there is damage to the front wing of Kazuki Umashima's machine, as we would generally expect to be the case. But ahead of them, Kroenke now up to a 3.3 second lead over his teammate.
Yeah, I like that. He's just on his way to win number 9, win number 10 in a row, really, if you want to count the last round of last season. He's just been... This is like the least we've ever shown Martin Kroenke, has it? I don't know. You know, he's, what's that, 10 in a row wins. The record is 13 in a row by Gregor. Is it possible? Do you reckon he could get it done at the end of the season?
He could do. I think that he's on the opportunity to do so right now, to be fact, as he continues to just pull those gaps up. Last time by, yeah, he was only a couple of thousandths faster than Mitchell de Jong, but his fastest lap time actually is slower than Mitchell de Jong, so maybe it may well just come down to the fact that Kroenke is better at conserving his tyres than his competition, as House versus Price once again through name corner down to Pouon.
Yeah, it's obvious actually that he's faster than Isaac Price, but can't get past. This is that same dilemma again for the Dutchman. Price has a twitch on the exit of 1. Through 13, where you try to clip apex as best as possible. Such a fun corner, this complex here, 13 and 14. And then it comes towards the complex of Stavilo and Curb Paul Frere, which is just so frustrating because there's no margin for error. You almost always get it wrong. Curb Paul Frere is never satisfying because you try to go full throttle through it, Will, but the car just keeps scrubbing and you lose straight line speed, and it's just, yeah, not satisfying through there.
And that affects you all the way through this section. Blanchimont down towards the bus stop chicane. It's worth noting that House is lifting off with a noisy pedal through there, as all drivers are pretty much doing, especially when they're in a tow. So we joked earlier on about the fact that Blanchimont in a Porsche was a difficult corner and you wouldn't be the same with World Championship. Actually, it's not that far off, really, because they are still having to lift, and that does make a big impact. And a lot of things as House then turns around the driver of Isaac Price. Price will be livid with that one.
Oh, goodness. And so Bono caught unaware. He's got the high downforce setup, so what's going to happen is he's always going to carry more speed into an apex than another driver, and it just means he has to be much more careful. And Jurgis may actually end up in front of Bono here, but Jurgis closed DRS for a second. That was very interesting. Manually closed it. I haven't seen that in quite a while, or he might have actually just backed off the throttle or applied the brakes. Yeah,
there's one more replay for you then of Price versus Gergis. Price the driver at the front, and House the driver at the rear. Just a simple turning around of another driver, but Isaac Price is not going to be happy with that one.
Yeah, so what you have to watch out for there is, as I mentioned, Bono's got carrying more speed into an apex. It's to do with the high downforce. It could also could be something to do with your differential settings. So depending on how much entry speed and mid-apex speed you like to carry, engine braking comes into play, all this kind of stuff. So that's just caught Bono unaware there through the apex.
Lap number 19 of 44 here in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Here is a look then at your top 8 so far. It is Martin Kroenke leading the way from Mitchell de Jong, Frank Schurhorst in 3rd, Martin Piatella in 4th. Then Jensen, Howes, Gergis and Umeshima round out your top 8. In fact, Umeshima in 8th place. Isaac Price is down to 9th. David Decor just ahead of him for the moment. We'd like to hear your thoughts, of course. Get social with us here on RaceSpotTV about that pass. It's House on towards pit road and many other people all doing the same. So a bit of a train on towards pit road because House is in, Gergis is in, Umeshima all in at the same time.
Yeah. You know what? I said last round I got all the pit windows right this season. I'm going to have to just swallow my words. I got it completely wrong this round. Lap 20, everybody in. Here they go. And who's going to come out on top? Very careful is Jurgis going into his box, so he's going to lose a lot of time from that wheel. And so never good for him. Umeshima long stop, remember, because of the damage.
Yeah. So we expected that from Umeshima. Gergis then, same stop as House. In fact, made a bit of time on the exit of pit road over that driver up on a House, but the gap currently is down as 1.1 seconds. That is just out of the DRS range for the driver of Gergis. Now what we need to do is pay our attention to the front of your field, and we'll show you Martin Kroenke working himself then through Stavolo 2 towards Blanchimont. When will he come in? I'm going to guess lap number 26, Johnny.
Yeah, you always have to be later if you're the leader. Just you want to have a clear track when you come back out. Now, he's not really in a fight with anyone else, so he doesn't have to worry. Doesn't want to lose the race, so he has to keep on going, which he does. De Jong behind, keeps on going. Smart, logical option. Schurhorst, we have to wait quite a while back. 8 seconds. But if Bono entered the pits, I wouldn't be surprised if Frake did so too. But you see the difference there. So normally we see all the red line drivers come in on the same lap. This time around, it's different this round. So Bono down the back end of the order doesn't do the same. But I have to mention, Will, Bono, who's coming up to Victor Prieto in terms of battling traffic, is he actually going to get past Isaac Price if Isaac pits, which he does?
Yeah, it's going to be close, is what I'm going to say, as Bono gets a very easy, clear run then out of Stavolo number 2. Also worth noting, of course, that Bono might have come towards pit road a little bit early because he had some damage through that turn of Isaac Price. Working themselves now through the bus stop chicane. Here is Isaac Price. We have a look at him now, when I can find him. There he is. He's onto his box, and actually House is easily going to be past him, as out and away will come the driver of Isaac Price. That was a 4-second pit stop, 28.3 total on the lane, and indeed he is well behind Bono House right now. In fact, about 3 seconds back, as you've also got yourself a couple of other drivers then making their pit stops as we get close to halfway in this event. But there is your race leader, Martin Kroenke. 3.3 seconds is the gap right now between himself and Mitchell de Jong. From de Jong to Schurhorst, that is 9.3 seconds. And then Schurhorst to Martin Piatella, who has pitted, by the way. Piatella pitted and stayed in P number 4.
Oh, that's great for him. So he continues, and Isaac Price down in P10. He's lost out to Bono. He's lost out to even his teammate Jurgis, and he only pitted 1 lap later. That's just catastrophic for Isaac Price. So strategy is so important in this race. The undercut doing its job. So as Kroenke also enters the pit now, I'm not surprised by that. Track's cleared a little bit, and he should have the advantage here of the undercut.
Let's have a look then. Martin Kroenke on towards pit road. That will officially give the lead of the motor race to Mitchell de Jong for a brief moment. Kroenke into his stall. What will he do then? 4 seconds. Out and away he will go. Will Martin Kroenke, he's won every single round this year so far. And in fact, he has been dominant in a number of those rounds. This looks as though that might be one of those again, as Yuta Saito goes on towards pit road himself in that number 32 Radicals machine.
Yeah, go Yuta. So he's also into the pits there. Relatively straightforward event for Yuta Saito. He started P22. He's making up a lot of spots. Same for Victor Prieto. He started all the way down in P28. And so this is interesting now. If de Jong waits a few more laps and then pits, he is going to lose a lot of time now to Martin, but he is going to have fresher rubber towards the end of the race.
He's on towards pit road, Johnny, and he had to do so because everyone else is coming towards the lane already.
Yep, so good stuff. Shot Horse, is he going to pit? Sorry, he already has, excuse me. So Shot Horse pitted on the same lap as Kroenke, so he is going to slot in between them. And there he is into the box. Kronke's already passed. So de Jong, no chance, but it's a quick stop anyway, though, Will, I assume?
Well, 4.3, so actually slower than a lot of other people around him. So a slow stop then for Mitchell de Jong as we are halfway through this, the 9th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are going to step aside for 2 moments. We'll come back with more after this.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we are into chase mode in the NASCAR Peak Anti-Freeze Series, powered by iRacing. 4 drivers have themselves the opportunity to go for the championship, but only one will get it. So, will it be the driver of Ryan Loser, Ray Alfala, Zelniak, Novak, Clampett, Vincent, Challoner, or Richardson, who will make themselves into that final round? This is their opportunity. It's chase mode in the NASCAR Peak Anti-Freeze Series, powered by iRacing, and it all ends at Homestead Miami Speedway. But the chase, that starts now. Welcome back then to the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. The gap between Martin Cronkite and Mitchell de Jong now stands at 5.8 seconds after pit stops. And actually, a lot of the battles we had earlier on have subsided. The only big one we've got going on is Isaac Price trying to get back past his teammate. That is Gergis, and that is the battle for P number 7.
Yeah, that's inevitable, this pass here. That's coming up. Gergis has really strong qualifying performance, career best for him too, but just lacked the race pace, and he's fallen behind rapidly because Marcus Jensen, who qualified 5th, is still in the 5th position. So Gergis just needs to find a way to improve on that qualifying time, and he's a driver, Will, that, you know, he's always spoken to me as well, and qualifying's been a weak point of his, just getting nervous when he needs to make the lap count. He keeps finding ways to improve, and I think that's where a lot of these guys make steps forward in this league, and I like seeing that in terms of development. When you see a driver develop and put in the work to get better, that's what Gergis has done, and I'm not surprised he's in the top 10. It's just been a while since I've been waiting for this, and I'm sure more greater results to come in the future.
Yeah, although he has still got to hold off his teammate over the back end of this event. Down through your field, say, Jorge Montanez has a battle going on with Paul Ilbrink. Ilbrink has had a very slow lap, actually, on lap number 25 of this event. He lost himself about 3 seconds. So now Montanez is in DRS range for P number 15.
Yep, so not good for Paul Ilbrink. Big start. Well, both of these guys started this race in 24th and 25th. So Montanez was 24th, Ilbrink 25th, and right now Montanez has a shot of actually getting himself back in front of Paul. Here they go across the final chicane once more, across the main straight diagonal here, then the uphill braking zone into La Source, downhill apex. Such an interesting form of undulation through turn number 1.
Yeah, and there's the lap graphics there. You can see that Montanez gained 2.4 seconds on lap number 24, gained another 0.3 of a second on the last lap, lap number 25. So he is definitely closing now to Paul Ilbrink. Maybe Ilbrink's in some form of fuel save mode, or he's got damage.
Yeah, it could be one of the two. Unsure what's happened to Ilbrink. Don't want to start assuming. Definitely something's not right for him. So on that note, Gergis back behind Isaac Price. So Isaac on a pursuit towards Bonahas if he can catch back up.
Was that a stage move? Because he was quite a way back at one point, so we need to have a look at the replay of that one. It does look as though, actually, it may well have been a bit of a staged move there between these two of them. Let's have a look then from our aerial coverage, brought to you by And1 Design. As you see, they just worked themselves behind the trees, and well, yeah, that was clearly Price there, just being told, look, you know what, you go ahead, take the position there by Gergis.
So do you reckon if Price doesn't get past Bono that he's going to let Gergis back through? Is that what's going to happen?
Look, this isn't Formula 1. This isn't Formula 1. Well, it is Formula 1, but not the FIA Formula 1 World Championship right now. Isaac Price does move himself, though, up into that 7th place for the time being. Let's have a look then towards the front of your field. Let's talk about Martin Cronkite for the moment, because he has been pulling out just those little quarter-second of a gap most laps over Mitchell de Jong, which is surprising because normally de Jong doesn't lose that much time to Cronkite. He will lose the odd 10th of a second here or there, but not at the rate he's been doing this race.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I get demoralized from the commentary booth. He puts my confidence down. How can he be that quick? Even De Jong can't keep up with him. And I thought De Jong was, you know, at Monza, he finished within a second of him. This round, it's different. What happened at Indy? De Jong was about 6 seconds behind, wasn't he? It's getting worse now at Spa, so never a good sign. Kroenke is on that pursuit towards that 100% win streak, or win victory this season. And it's good stuff. And I think this is a track where we spoke about it before. Spa is sort of a track he's mastered, Martin Kroenke, and a track that Coander's mastered really well. I'd like to know where Mac Backham would have been if he was here this round.
Somewhere is my honest answer to that. So we have a look then at Ballas Remiak, just getting himself passed by one of the Orion race team drivers of Dion Verges. Verges had that DRS wide open, moved himself down to the inside, got himself up into P number 18. Retirees from this event, and it's a pretty big list here today, so we are going to go through them. It is Antoine Hegelin out, Ficarra is out, Bergeron, Wensing, Happela, Michaels, Kern, and Philo are all out of this event. Now, part of that, of course, was what actually, I have to say, was a pretty chaotic lap number one. One of the more chaotic ones we've had in the series.
Yeah, especially through a Rouge. I mean, you're going that fast. If you just have a slight bit of contact, it's never going to end well. And, well, it's just unfortunate these people put in these practice for 2 weeks, and they're going to have to look forward to Suzuka after this. And that's another track that isn't forgiving as well, Will, in terms of alongside each other or side-by-side battling, whatever you want to call it.
Just noticing, by the way, that Martin Piatella is still within 3.5 seconds of Frank Shawhorst. However, he is losing time right now. In fact, he's lost Piatella about 0.7 of a second over the last 3 laps. So I was about to say, maybe has Piatella got a chance to make it a Coander 1-2-3, but at this stage, that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. In terms of stint times, Piatella is 1 lap longer on his tyres compared to Shawhorst, but that won't make that much of a difference.
Yeah, well, you're right. It won't make too much of a difference, but Piatella, as you mentioned, came in on lap 21, Shawhorst a lap later on 22, and I think you might not think it makes that much of a difference, but with these Pirelli tyres and how much they do wear out, it does. It does make a significant difference, I think, when you look at the telemetry after the event and realize that comparing yourselves from the first stint to the second, lap after lap, there is a long-term difference, which you'll see through telemetry, maybe not lap after lap.
No, I completely agree. But Piatella then does try to keep in 4th place. Talk us through, we're going to run through a lap here, actually, on board with Piatella. And we talked about this first stint quite a few times, you know. Last horse, slow in, fast out. Air Rouge, make sure you get the bike point through the corner, like he's doing here. Run that inside curb, run yourself up through Ranion, then position yourself that little kink down the Camel straightaway. As Shawhorst actually last time by, the lap times between them was about 1.5 of a second. Coming to Lecon, right-hander, use the curb. Left-hander, use the curb. Settle the car out, then actually just graze the curves on the exit on the inside of them. La course, then you go into Rivage, long right-hander, and then you stop using the curbs for a few moments, Johnny.
Yeah, you do. This curb here, you don't want to be using at high speed. Slippery on the exit of no-name corner. And Pouillyon's that corner where, as I mentioned, the first apex is quite tricky. Sometimes you don't want to turn in too early, and you become so tight on the steering wheel that you actually run wide. So it's going to be careful with that. Here's a corner where the curbs do help, although you don't want to touch them too much. There you go. Piatella clips the curbs on the left-hander there, and I think that helped ease the car in. And here's that very tight complex of the racetrack. Stavolo. Easy to get out on the AstroTurf. Curb pull through. Your springs doing a lot of work here, trying to keep the car stable. Suspension as well. Spring rates, I should say, is a better way to put it. Then Blanchimont, trying to widen the track as much as possible. Once you hear the tires start to screech, you're losing time. And then straight lining the final chicane. Such a horrible corner, this. The camber, it's never satisfying. Blind through the apex of the final corner. You have to apply the throttle early because it's an uphill apex. Beginning a new lap, and here we go. Uphill braking zone into La Source, but then downhill apex. And that's what caught Bono House earlier out, Will, in terms of hitting Isaac Price, is that he can carry more apex speed into La Source. That cost him quite a bit. So Straight lining a Rouge, easy stuff. This is all one-handed stuff, Will, these days. It's not challenging a Rouge. Trust me. Just grab a drink here on the Camel Straight. Not just easy. Here we go. Use the curb through Les Combes. Again, just wanting to clip the apex. As you can see, the dark rubbered line on the racetrack. Trying to use that as much as possible because that's where all the grip is. And almost ran a bit too wide there. That could have been deadly, but I think we went through a whole lap with Marty, and right now it seems pretty boring for him. He's just easily lapping away. No mistakes. This is just nice to watch, but boring too. You want to see, you know, mistakes and sliding and all that, but it's never fast.
We did just see a pass, by the way. That was Yuta Saito moving himself ahead of Diego Oliveira for 13th place on track. And, well, Oliveira in that positive sim racing machine. One of two positive sim racing cars in the field here today. Of course, the other one of those is the Israeli driver who we talked about actually a little bit here today, Daniel Bida in P number 17. But Radicals, you know, all of a sudden their race is a bit better. Driver in P number 11, driver P number 13.
Yeah, I mean, the two Japanese guys have always been quick, of Umeshima and Saito. And Umeshima, anyway, in the championship standings coming into this round, I mean, P7, no surprise. You know, he's been solid, quick. He's always been that way throughout his whole career. Saito's been very inconsistently impressive. Some rounds, it's like he's never there, Will, but some rounds he's up in the order like he is today. So something maybe I think is the next step to improve for Yuta Saito is to just push himself a little bit more and find that consistency.
Kevin Ellis Jr. took 4 tenths per second out of Gergis that last time around. What's going to happen as they cross the stripe? We'll get a look at the lap times. Another 4 tenths of a second then. So Kevin Ellis Jr., Apex Racing UK machine now, is hunting down Pashless Gergis. You can just see how much he is pushing, the way that engine note works through La Source. Prix Rouge and Radion, they come now. Gap is 7 tenths of a second, but Ellis Jr. is looking to find a way past Gergis. He gets past him quickly. He might get a little half shout there, maybe at Isaac Price as well, if he can close quickly enough.
Yeah, but he runs wide through the entrance of Les Combes, and that is going to cost him a few tenths for sure. Kevin Ellis Jr., great guy, good sense of humor, good personality to have within your team, which is so important in sim racing. Is how many guys can you bring into the team that make you enjoy yourself and make you enjoy the 3 hours a day or whatever you need to do to test? And really important to have guys like Kevin Ellis Jr. around.
Yeah, I can completely confer that one. He is closing over Gergis, you can say. Gap, though, up to 1.1 second as a consequence of him pushing wide down at Les Combes. We've also got Diego Oliveira, of course, in that number 06 machine. Just keeping an eye out, the times from him and Paul Ilbrink, who is the other Radicals Online driver inside the top 10. They currently satisfied, currently scored about 3.4 seconds between themselves. So Oliveira has got to carry on pushing because otherwise Ilbrink will come coming, as that will be the battle for 14th place on track. Ellis Jr. better run through sector number 3 of this last lap. So kind of got rid of some of the negative aspects of that lap, but overall he does lose 3 tenths of a second in that battle.
Yeah, so never good. But regardless of that, what is the closest battle out there in the field? Were you still struggling to find it? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this. So let's keep following it. Lap 32 of 44, so plenty of time remaining. Just seeing the whole field anyway, it's all quite spread out apart from this battle here. So Kevin Ellis Jr. as well. Can he make up that time to Gergis towards the end of the event? I think he can get past, but
if he gets closer,
yeah, obviously.
No,
I'm starting to really
just. It's like he seems to have struggled in the dirt, as soon as he got into the dirty air last time by. So he needs to get close enough in order to get the run out of, for example, Air Rouge. But I don't know how well that Apex Racing UK car's work in that dirty air.
Yeah, you're right. So I think a lot of front end grip is important. Pouon's a killer corner in terms of dirty air. I think Curb Paul Frere is a huge killer. I remember I had the DW12 around here, which is the beauty of iRacing. You can take any car on any track that you want. remember driving the IndyCar, the DW12, and curb pull Frere was absolutely a killer. There's a small bump on the apex, and if you don't have this car set up right, you will find yourself into the barriers and you will find yourself spinning around. But to really make a compromise for that dirty air, you just have to make sure the front end grip is there, and maybe Apex is struggling with that.
Yeah, as there is Ellis Jr. on the exit of the corner. He gains a 10th that lap. We have got one other battle going on track, which I am keeping half an eye on. That is Daniel Bieder versus Jorge Montanes. Of course, Montanes has been passed by a couple of drivers recently, and this will become a battle then of two teams. Once again, there is the driver of Jorge Montanes in that number 15 Frostmaster Nirvana racing machine. Daniel Bieder last time by actually lost a 10th of a second, but the lap times show that it's kind of gain a little bit, lose a little bit, gain a little bit, lose a little bit between these two drivers.
Yeah, so you really look at your relative times at this point. Try to, every time you see that extra 10th gain through a corner, you're like, it's a bit of extra motivation for you to keep pushing. But apart from that, you have to, sometimes you talk to your engineer to give you some suggestions. If there's no good suggestions, you're just going to keep driving, getting closer and closer, and don't over push it. I think drivers keep trying to gain time through corners. I really think everyone's pushing 100% when you're in a battle. It's more or less trying not to lose time through many corners, which is a better way to phrase it.
I completely agree. As Ellis Jr. does close a couple of temps already on this lap. You can see the times there between Ellis Jr. and Gergis. And Ellis Jr. gained half a second on lap number 30. Lost 3 temps on 31. Gained a 10th back on 32. I would say he's likely to gain a 2.5 tenths of a second this lap, as we've still got this issue at Marcus Jensen just messing up our timing and scoring screens. Because, of course, as a commentator, you keep an eye out on the stats. You see a red arrow, and it's like, uh-oh, but that isn't the case, of course. Ellis Jr. then out of the final corner. Let's have a look at what the lap times are as they come past the stripe and in towards one again. And he's gained, you know what? I was pretty much on the money. 248 1,000ths of a second, John.
Oh, wow. Are you getting paid for being that on the money?
No.
Show me what's that movie with the Show Me the Money? Jerry Maguire. Yeah. You should get Cuba Gooding Jr. to pay you a couple of checks here and there. Here's Ellis Jr. though on DRS. Oh, he's touching the grass too. Okay, so this is getting interesting now. Sometimes if you do wonder why a driver touches the grass on the straight, he might be fixing or making an adjustment. By the way, have you heard of something called tight gripping the wheel? Have you heard of that phrase before?
Yes, I have actually.
Yeah, never a good thing to do.
No.
What it means is, if you're wondering what tight gripping is when you're in a battle like this, you end up holding the wheel so tight and you're clenching and your muscles hurt because you're trying not to get corners wrong. And when you start doing that, trust me, not only are you going to have sore muscles the next day, but you're also going to start making more mistakes. So you just have to be relaxed and calm through every corner.
And actually, I can tell you about that from an oval perspective, because I had been a victim of that before. And it does affect your lines quite a bit, because you do 100, 200 laps of testing, you get the kind of muscle reflex memory working in terms of, you can almost drive, I wouldn't say blind, because that's not the right way to do it, but you can always drive on instinct. Well, then as soon as you get into a battle and you start tensing that wheel, you're thinking, why am I losing time? Well, it's actually because it means the muscle motion of you going through a corner is going to be different. And actually, in terms of things like World's Fastest Gamer, that's the thing about iRacing. You must use a steering wheel pretty much if you're going to compete. So put the iRacers up alongside the quote-unquote gamers. I think that's why iRacing might have the edge in the final.
Yeah, you got to have the steering wheel. I don't know why there's a mobile version out, but the steering wheel is the better version, and it's more realistic anyway. And also at the same time, the tight gripping is just, you're stressed, you're not calm. You need to be as comfortable as you can in a steering wheel, and think about it like a kicker taking a field goal to win the Super Bowl, or making a free throw in a basketball game. It's all the same thing, driving a race car. So tight gripping is never good, and you want to be stress-free in that sort of sense. And trust me, it happens to a lot of inexperienced drivers, as I said. And the worst part about it is I've had races where I jump out of the seat and your rear end is hurting so badly because you've been clenching the whole time, and your arms the next day are absolutely sore. You can hardly pick up certain items off the floor. It really is a physical strain on you when you start doing that.
Yeah, I completely agree. As here is a look then. Just going to move away from this battle for a moment and take you back to the front of your field and show you the gap. It's now 7.2 seconds between Martin Cronje and Mitchell de Jong. But look at the lap times. Last time by, Cronje half a second faster than Mitchell de Jong.
Might be a mistake.
But still,
surely de Jong's not got issues.
That's huge.
Well, all right, here's the funny thing. He's half a second faster than de Jong. De Jong's, what is that, 6/10 faster than Schothorst? Even better. Wow, those two are in a league of their own.
They really are.
They're,
It's actually, you look at the gap, you're right. It's a further half a second between de Jong and Frank Schothorst. So actually, it's 1.1 seconds. Cronje was faster last time by than it was. I'm almost speechless.
yeah. Well, stay speechless, because I'm about to say something whopping here. Kevin Ellis Jr. is half a second behind Pascal Sturgis. We have got a battle on our hands. Here we go. 4/10 behind. DRS open. Throw it up the inside, Kevin. Do something. Let's go. Look at the run he's got on Sturgis. This is going to be tight. Whoa. He thought better of it, which was nice.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he would not have been able to slot down the inside then, but he now knows how far back he needs to be on the exit of Radion. You can see that the little bits of rubber being kicked up as we are with less than 10 laps to go, by the way, in this event, but live timing and scoring is still available. Visit RaceSpotTV/timing. And don't forget also you can get social with us using the links you'll see on screen right about now. For Ellis Jr., the fact he's staying within half a second through the infield section does mean, in my opinion, that he might be able to make the pass next time by, because he dropped a tenth of a second then, but apart from that, right with him there, right with Gergis all the way through that middle section, didn't lose anything at all.
Yeah, as miserable as this race has been for Gergis, quite impressed by his handling at the end of the race. Yeah, he hasn't dropped off like a fly like I expected him to. He's still in the top 8 and may even finish there. The young Kevin Ellis Jr. who... by the way, I had a podcast with Kevin Ellis Jr. during the week, which I released, and we only just found out, that both of us, that we actually argued with each other 12 months ago before we actually knew who each of us were. And this is what sim racing does. You have arguments with certain drivers, then you find out 12 months later you're good friends, and it's you're like, oh, that was you? Oh, all right, let's move on. So it was an IndyCar race, by the way, so you would have been happy. Here's the run he's got.
Yeah, he's just under 3/10 of a second. They're just over 3/10 as they exit. And you can see the weaving then to the left, to the right there for Gergis, as Evans Jr. is going to have to go to the outside, not able to do so. But that's the whole thing. Gergis now realizes he's got to break that DRS train, otherwise he would have lost that position. But by doing so, it shows a bit of weakness there as well. And of course, you've got to remember, you can't be making too many moves down that long straightaway.
Yeah, but that's what I don't like is, okay, the smart drivers and aggressive drivers, they do that and they get away with it, which is why they're some of the best in the world. But if Gergis is going to do that, what if you did that with Ellis Jr., who'd be right behind him? Surely it's the same thing. If you're moving twice, you can't penalize him when Ellis Jr. is making a move. You have to police it when he's 6/10 or 7/10 behind too. So I think that's something in motor racing over these, throughout its history, that rule's not enforced when a driver is 1 second behind. It's only enforced when the driver's right up his rear end, which is, it's wrong. It's not the right way to police that rule.
Yeah, I agree, as we've actually now got a bit of a battle going on. Umashima has closed up to Jamie Fluke. You can see that one on your screen. And Umashima has been closing again. 10th by 10th here, as Fluke now is going to battle to try and stay inside the top 10. So you've got one Apex Racing UK machine trying to gun for a position over Pashtas Gergis. Then you've got another Apex Racing UK machine trying to hold on to a position. That one is from Kazuki Machine. And this is what we often see at Spa. Towards the end of the event, the battles kind of come closer together And again, because it's such a long track here, you know, a lap is very different to a lap at Indianapolis, for example. You will see battles kind of ebbing and flowing. Ellis Jr. was absolutely nowhere near that time by in towards Lacombe. Although Umashima does have the DRS open, didn't make that much of an inroad on Jamie Fluke, and Fluke actually kind of wants to hope he catches Ellis Jr. to make sure that he gets the DRS from his teammates.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good point you bring up. And also on that note, you bring up long lap at Spa. Nobody currently running in the event is actually lapped at the moment. Yep. Everybody's on the lead lap. That's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. So, you know, Belazaz Remignac, the last guy technically in last place, although we have a lot of other DNFs, only a minute 39 behind, so very impressive.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm thinking he might not be lapped here today either. We have had ourselves 7 drivers out of this event, but still, 22 drivers on the lead lap. You don't normally talk about them in the World Championship Series. We're having a look at the lap times as well between drivers. There is a 3-second gap between the kind of fastest drivers and the slower drivers here today in terms of fastest laps. And that's not that bad. Actually, no, I take that back. It's a about a 1.5 second gap between these drivers. But of course, late on in the race, the lap times just keep on getting quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah, obviously that's because of fuel loads decreasing as the event moves on. Everybody's just all the energy recovery system doing its work throughout the event. Haven't seen many, apart from that early battle with Huss, Price, Jurgis, everybody else as well. Didn't see many other DRS trains going on, so that was good to see as well. Something different. Who knows what iRacing is going to bring as well for next season in terms of rule changes. I'm always interested because I haven't heard much on it yet. As Ellis Jr. here has a look for P8, not enough. Yeah, the rule change is always nice to see. I'm looking forward to next season. It's too early to talk about next season now, but you never know.
Yeah, of course, it's worth noting as well. Some of these drivers are thinking towards next season, and they are thinking, what do I need to do points-wise to make sure that I have enough points to qualify for next year's World Championship? Because, of course, we're looking at the idea of a smaller field, different race structure potentially for next year, and it's worth thinking that as well. When you're in a situation like Jurgis and Ellis Jr., you're not going to want to slot one down the inside and maybe lose, you know, more points than you gain, because last 4 rounds of the championship, we talked about that, no drop weeks, and that means for this mid-pack, they might be thinking twice before making a move because they know just how much every point means.
Yeah, there's that too, but at the same time, if they do value every point, they won't be thinking twice about certain moves. And Ellis Jr. there on the grass off the racetrack at Blanchimont, and that could have been costly. Let's not forget that Fluke and Umashima are both behind too. Yuta Saito is very close as well to David Corpse, and Corpse has had a strong event so far. Did have a P10 earlier on in the season at Monza, so this isn't going to be his best result, but David Corpse doing well at these low downforce tracks.
He is, indeed so, and actually Ellis Jr. messes up the exit of La Source. He's going to be too far back to make a move as they work through Eru's Radiant once again. And behind, Yuta Saito versus David Decor. You've just been talking about that one there, Johnny. Saito right now is going to be close as they work themselves up the hill. Here comes Yuta Saito, looking down to the inside. Thank you very much, Yuta Saito, up into P number 12.
Yep. Oh, is it done actually? Yeah, it is. There we go. Had to wait to the end of the apex. So the Corpse there falls behind to P13. And so right now, let's have a look back at in the front of this duo. So Ellis Jr. is still very close to Jurgis. Jurgis again on the straights. He's trying to break the toe. He's trying to do everything possible to remain in P8 and take his career best result.
Yeah, as the gap remains at half a second for the time being. We did just show you a little bit of action on the way down. You feel Balas Remniak and Victor Preto, they are going side by side as they work up the hill. And Balas Remniak has got that one made.
Yep, go Balazaz. And so he's no longer in last place. Yep. The wooden spoon, or whatever you want to call it. Actually, the achievement for these guys would be not getting lapped by Martin, because he's only just reaching Rivage now, and where are they? They're at No Name Corner. I think they might actually be lapped. They might have to concede this one.
Oh, yeah, especially if you just spin like Victor Preto just did. And that is going to be a difference maker. Replay then for Victor Preto down at Rivage. Loops it. Just loops it around there. And we want to get ourselves another look at that because I think he was trying to put the pressure back on to Remniak. Comes down into Rivage, that long right-hander, back end steps out. That's actually the first time we've really seen this one in the race here today, and indeed he does lose a position, lose a lap even to Martin Kroenke as a consequence.
Yeah, he's in that Champs iRacing car. Victor Preto, 17 years of age, and he's struggling with the car as well, trying to just get back into rhythm now, but he is the first man lapped in the field. So the Spanish driver is in his rookie season too, don't forget, Will. So from the Pro Series straight to the World Championship, he's just trying to learn as much as possible and maybe try and find his way into a program or a team where he can learn a bit more too.
Yes. For example, someone like Radicals Online would be a really good team actually for any driver just coming through. Or you can put the likes of Apex Racing UK, of course, they're historically then the Academy, for example. Maybe get a couple of drivers working together in the likes of Vortex Sim Racing in 2018.
Yeah, you never know. No, no, he's from Vortex. We've got Remniak, Stephen Michaels, who's had a DNF this race.
But Michaels is a fantastic tutor.
Yeah, possibly. So, let's see for the future. I don't want to start making decisions for other team bosses, you know. I always love to run my own team. I've told you this all the time. You're more than experienced. Oh, you've run a league. Have you run your own team? I have no idea. Is that true?
Oh, you never heard about me running a team. It was the most controversial team in the history of IndyCar.
Yeah. What team was that again?
Team After.
Yeah.
Google it.
And no, that's fine. You should stay out of the controversy. The funny thing is that, you know, we work in media basically, but if I was running a team and I was a team owner, I would avoid us as much as possible, because I've noticed that, you know, getting your face in the media.
Kevin Ellis Jr., the top of the hill, had a huge wiggle, and he's still going for the position in towards Lecom.
Oh, man. How close was that through the apex, Will? They made their way through.
From up above. Right, here's Ellis Jr. Works himself up the hill, and he gets a wiggle just there. I mean, that looks like a small wiggle, but not when you go into one of the fastest corners in motorsport.
And just remember, a less dramatic wiggle took Anton Higelin out of the race earlier on. So that was a brilliant save by Kevin Ellis Jr. And the fact that he was able to re-grip himself and re-handle himself and try to make an overtake around the outside of Lecom. So good mental toughness there from Kevin Ellis.
What was the point you were making?
Oh, the point to avoid us, yeah. So don't speak to us if you're a team owner, because you're gaining publicity, and when you talk and you have publicity, there's all the more reason to criticize you when you're in the limelight. So trust me, I'm just talking to you from experience, from a basketball coach's experience. I do that in my spare time too. You want to avoid the media as much as possible. Ironically, though, I work in media too, so
you know, from both
contradictory
angles.
Lifestyle. Yeah, it's a good thing, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. Dion Verges, by the way, with Daniel Bieder separated by 0.6 of a second with 2 laps remaining here at Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, next time out, it will be Suzuka that drivers will be running in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Kevin Ellis Jr. about the same place he was last time in terms of him and Gergis. Gergis running high, running low a little bit there. Ellis Jr. has got himself that DRS flat wide open. Going to go to the outside. Will he dump it to the inside? No, he won't. But he gets very close on the apex. And actually, Gergis has got to be careful because he kind of moved to the left a little bit later than I would normally have liked.
Yeah, he's playing with fire here with the rules, but I don't think it's enough to get a penalty.
Oh, God, no.
But you are right, though. You are right. Kroenke actually will begin the final lap just as we speak. And so let's see how this battle goes on for P8 at the moment. But it is all the Martin Kroenke show, and if he's got the Kronk bus going on the same way Rob Gronkowski does, I'll be jumping on that bus after the race and go for a couple of, what does Kroenke drink? A couple of whiskeys or whatever, joining that bus for sure.
Yeah, we've just been having a look at Paul Ilbrink, by the way, because he's been battling it out these last couple of laps with Diego Oliveira. Dion Verges versus Daniel Bieder is a battle that is going on in your final lap of this event as well. So, lots happening here as we come to the conclusion of this event on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. But for Martin Kroenke, once again, he worked himself through Rivage for the 44th and final time. He qualified better, I would say, than he's done all season long today. 4 tenths of a second faster than anyone else. At stages of this event, he has been half a second faster than his nearest rival, Mitchell de Jong, and a full second faster than anyone else in the field. At this stage, it's not just about Martin Kroenke and World Championship. We're thinking now Martin Kroenke and the iRacing representative for world's fastest gamer, because this season, this driver has not put a single foot wrong. And if there's anyone who thinks they can challenge the Kroenke, please stand up and please get yourself ready for world's fastest gamer on iRacing starting in September. But for now, Martin Kroenke has still got the World Championship in his mind. He is now 2 races away, maximum, from being World Champion. Out of the final corner he comes. Past the start-finish line, 9 for 9 goes Martin Kroenke, and the streak will continue for him as he wins one more time and makes it 10 wins in a row, dating back to 2016. Martin Kroenke wins, Mitchell de Jong comes home in second place. We'll give you a very quick update then on the Gerges situation. You can see that Gerges has actually lost the position now to Kevin Ellis Jr. at the end of this motor race. We'll get an update on that one in a moment's time for Johnny. Also, let's have a look at Paul Ilbrink. Is he still behind the driver of Diego Oliveira? The answer to that one is no. So lots of action then going on the final lap here at Spa. But the big story is that Kroenke, 10 wins in a row in the iRacing World Championship Series. Johnny, what else has happened on this final lap?
Gerges black flagged on the final lap of the event. That's incredible. So, wow, by the stewards as well. And they had that battle with Kevin Ellis Jr. going into Les Combes. And I'm not sure why the black flag was waved, either the weaving or some incident limits. But, yeah, it looked like one of the drivers might have gone off there of Jamie Fluke. But I just am unsure why. I would love to hear the dilemma there.
Yeah, there was a lot of very close racing between the two of them. And actually, we did see that Kevin Ellis Jr. got past cleanly. Then we had Jamie Fluke there right in the mix. Fluke then goes off on that final lap, which allows Kazuki Umeshima to work himself around the outside into no-name corner. You also, of course, had yourself another Radicals driver involved in battles on that final lap. That was Paul Ilbrink versus the driver of Diego Oliveira. Let's get yourself a replay of that one as well as we go on board with the driver of Paul Ilbrink up the hill. And you can see at that point, he's still about 4 car lengths back, but it's use the ERS, use the DRS, use everything down to the inside. Paul Ilbrink moved himself up there into 12th place in the final lap.
Yep, so amazing final lap there. Dramatic position changes, although I don't want to get involved in any politics. It might have been the incident limit for Gerges that we're hearing, which is why it definitely is confirmation from the stewards. It is the incident limit, which is why Gerges was black flagged towards the end of the event. Just sad. It would have been his career best result. He's going to have to wait till another day. But Kroenke, brilliant victory. Coanda 1-2, 3 cars in the top 4. The day spoiled, obviously, by Francorchamps, who split them. And good stuff from Marcus Jensen, too, in P5.
Yep, let's run you through then your final results. Here from Spa. 9 wins from 9 races in 2017 for Martin Kroenke. 10 wins in a row in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Now just 3 shy of Gregor Hutu's all-time record set in 2010. Mitchell de Jong in second place. Coanda 1-2. Team Redline, highest place finisher is Frank Shawhorse in third. Marty Piatella in fourth place for Coanda. Marcus Jensen in fifth for Apex Racing UK. So still 3 teams inside your top 5. A bad day in the office, one would argue, for Bono House. He'd been on the wars pretty much all day. Isaac Price in 7th place for Core Sim Racing. Kevin Ellis Jr. in 8th. Kazuki Umeshima in 9th. And then Jamie Fluke rounds out your top 10. Cycle on back. You've got David Core in 11th, Paul Ilbrink 12th, Diego Oliveira in 13th, Yuta Saito 14th, and Jorge Montana is rounding out your top 15. Note Gergis then. Penalty, final lap of the motor race, drops him from inside the top 10, all the way down to P19. Remniak is one of 2 drivers scored, 1 lap down. Victor Preto is the other. There are your retirees. We'll be back in a moment.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Hey guys, Christopher Bell here. As you guys know, iRacing is coming out with dirt and it's been a long time coming. So I'm here today to kind of show you around the sprint cars and hopefully give you some insight for whenever you first drive it. So here we are at Williams Grove, gonna go out and make a couple laps in the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on default setup with a gear change to a 522. As we roll out of the pits, you guys might notice that the car wants to pull left and you have to hold the steering wheel right to go straight. That's normal for a sprint car because you have so much stagger, it's always trying to turn the car left. Once you get up to speed, that goes away. Going down the straightaways, Williams Grove has really long straightaways and really tight corners. The big wings on the sprint cars, it always wants to pull you left into the corner, so it doesn't take much steering wheel input to get the car into the corner. A big key for the wing sprint cars is that they always like to go straight. They don't like to be too sideways. So the less steering wheel input you can have and the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you'll go. As the track slickens off, you'll be able to play with the setup to get the car driving even straighter yet. And that's a couple laps around Williams Grove. So here we are at Eldora Speedway. I'm on baseline setup with a gear change to a 511. As we roll out at Eldora Speedway, one thing that you'll notice is that the corners are really sweeping and it's almost a circular shape. The big thing about Eldora is just keeping that steering wheel straight. The straighter you keep the wheel and the less steering input that you give the car, the faster you'll go. The fast line around Eldora will be right around the inside wall in the corners and then with a big arc towards the outside walls down the straightaways. Then once the track slicks off, you'll be able to follow the groove up towards the outside wall, where the famous Eldora High Line comes into play. So now we're at Volusia Speedway Park with the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on baseline setup with a 511 gear, the same as what we ran at Eldora. Whenever you roll out on the racetrack, you'll notice that Volusia is similar to Eldora. They have long sweeping corners, and it's kind of circular in shape. At Volusia, whenever the track is fast, you'll want to be right down against the concrete wall in the corners with a nice big arc down the straightaway. Whenever the track starts to slicken up, you'll be able to follow the groove up higher and higher. Whenever you get into turns 3 and 4 though, the groove might get up onto the shelf, which is the flatter section of the racetrack. And then it becomes very difficult to exit turn 4 without getting into the wall. And that's just one of the characteristics of Volusia Speedway Park. Hope you guys have fun.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the RaceSpotTV post-race show from round number 9, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, where once again, Martin Cronkey wins in 2017, making it 10 wins in a row in the World Championship Series. Let's quickly then show you the start of what is a pretty chaotic race here, Johnny.
Yeah, very chaotic. We saw the start of the event where Jensen had some technical issues and Jurgis went straight to the inside to defend. But then we had that whole incident up the top of Eau Rouge and through Eau Rouge, actually, down the bottom where, pretty much 3 wide. It's just racing incident. Not sure what happened there. Need to analyze that in my own time, really. There was so much that went on.
Yeah, we had a slow start from Daniel Arndt-Wensing. That caused a bit of a bottleneck down into turn number 1 anyway. It was all fine at the front of your field. You saw 2 wide for a moment then between the drivers of Mitchell de Jong and Frank Shawhorse, but it's down in the mid-pack. Think of that, trying to go 3 wide there. That's one thing that's got very scary. And then you've got 2 drivers, 3 drivers, 4 drivers off down at Eau Rouge, 5 drivers involved in the end. And well, I'd call that a little bit messy, but of course we see it so often, of course, on iRacing and in the World Championship Series. When you have a race at Spa, you've always got to prepare for what we call the big one. But we have got Martin Cronkey here now as he celebrates his 9th victory in this season's iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. It is his 10th victory in a row. Well, Martin, we're into you can no longer be in a situation where you have the opportunity to have drop weeks, but you're still winning.
Yeah, fortunately so.
Talk us through the event. Qualifying, 4 tenths of a second faster than anyone else. Best qualifying like we've done all year?
Probably on par with the Imola one. That was quite good. There's still, I don't know, another 1.5 tenths or so in it, but given that it's a fairly long lap and a lap that is sort of really difficult to nail, I guess I can be happy with it.
Then onto the race itself. You got a clean getaway, of course. One of the things that we were worried about was whether or not there'd be a kind of slow getaway by yourself and de Jong like you had at Indianapolis, but that didn't prove to be the case. And then from there on, you only didn't lead, I think, 1 lap here today.
2. Mitchell has 2 lead laps.
Oh, sorry. But apart from that, you pretty much led all but 2 laps here today. And it seemed to be another faultless drive.
Yeah, there were a couple of mistakes here and there, but overall, I guess, yeah, there wasn't anything major going wrong. And at the end of the day, that is to be expected, really. It was a race where, fortunately, I was in a situation where I didn't need to push all race long. So, yeah, you can log laps, make sure you don't do anything stupid, and then, yeah, bring it home.
Your fastest lap was on lap number 23 of this event. Fastest lap of the race, respectfully, actually. But how hard are you pushing it now at the end of these events? Because there was one time when you were half a second faster than de Jong and 1 second faster than anyone else in the field. Are you paying attention to any of that?
No. I don't have any way to pay attention to it, apart from the F3 box, maybe. I don't know how fast the others are. To be fair, as long as no one is behind me immediately, I also don't really care.
Well, we've got ourselves 3 rounds of the championship remaining. Next one is Suzuka. I'm going to call it 2 rounds potentially before the championship is yours. But Suzuka and Kawanda have had bits of ups and downs over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, kind of. Although I think in the last 3 years, it has been relatively successful. I think Mitchell won it in 2015, I won it in 2014, and last year I think, yeah, I won it as well. So seems to be not too terrible for us as of late. So
unless your name's Hugo Louise. No comments. But no comment there. But yeah, Suzuka coming up, of course, in a few weeks' time. Before we let you go, who gets it done for you over at Commander?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, say thank you to the spotters that have made the course today for the pit wall, and of course also a huge shout out to our sponsors. First of all, to Virtual Racing School, of course, but also to Hoisingfeld Engineering, and One Design, JRT, and yeah, to you guys also. Thank you for delivering a good broadcast.
Well, thank you very much, Martin Cronkey. 10 wins in a row, Johnny. That's our next conversation. I mean, there's really 3 conversations about Cronkey right now. You know, World Championship Grand Prix Series, world's fastest gamer, and then can he beat 13 wins in a row?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. But if he wins every round this season, he'll match it at least.
Yep.
And we have to wait to round 1 of next year. So let's take it round by round and see what happens at Suzuka, Nürburgring, and Circuit of the Americas. I know that Mitchell, who we'll be speaking to next, is very quick around Circuit of the Americas, and so that's a circuit where I think when Marta will have to earn his money there, or earn his another $50 million, whatever he earns right now, because he's already going to be world champion this year for sure.
Well, in fact, you are stood by right now with Mitchell de Jong.
I am. Well done, Mitchell. P2 again. Not where you want to be. I mean, another second place to your name. It's the 4th time this season, but it's a satisfying result nevertheless. Under 10 seconds compared to your teammate. How does it feel to be in P2? Is it depressing or is it a good feeling?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's certainly still a good result. To get second, still quite a lack of preparation and time to prepare for this one again. But no, it was. I have to be happy with the finish. I wasn't too particularly happy with my driving this race. I put myself in a pretty bad situation with the incident limit early on in the race, and kind of after the pit stop, or even before that, I had to really take care of it. And like especially towards the end, I had like 1 incident left before I got a drive through, so I had to just back it off like 0.6 per lap or so. So I still wasn't too particularly happy with my driving, but nevertheless, I can't be upset with second.
Is that part of the reason why you finished 9.5 seconds behind? Because you've had other results this year where, for example, last round at Indianapolis, 6 seconds behind. Monza, you finished within about 7 or 8 tenths of Martin for the win. Did that come into play, as you mentioned? Because Spa's not a track where you don't want to lose any confidence. It really is a driver's track that you want to push the limit almost each corner.
Yeah, for sure. I was feeling pretty okay in the beginning of the first stint, and then around halfway I started having some issues with braking and kind of missing my braking, having some micro lockups and things like that here and there, and especially in this car, it's having things like that just makes a huge difference. So yeah, it just was kind of a sloppy race for me, I would say. I think I like to imagine that the gap should have been a good amount smaller, but Martin was definitely way faster than me, so yeah, still he would have probably beat me by quite a bit still, but yeah.
No, so what makes Coanda so strong here? Because all 3 of you have shown up for interviews, those who finished in the top 4 anyway, and last year was the same. Coanda's very strong here. Is it the low downforce tracks where you think your team has an advantage, or is it just Spa where everyone's a connoisseur around here?
To be honest, I'm not too sure. I think a lot of teams were running quite similar packages to us this race, but yeah, this was the race last year that I think the guys put in the most work, and it's just one of those tracks that... No, I don't think so. At least not that we know of, but no, I think it's just a solid track for the team.
No, cool. Well, we know Mac Backham wasn't here, which, you know, we're not sure where he would have ended up in the end, but what's he doing behind the scenes? Because Suzuka's the next round. Is he helping in terms of preparation for that, or is he just taking a bit of time off?
I think for this race, he did a little bit of running, but, you know, understandably, I don't think he put in like full preparation for this race. So I know before the race started today, he mentioned that anyone want to do some laps right after the race at Suzuka. So I think he'll be well prepared for the next one. So
join him for that. You should. You never know. Final thing though, only because we have more time, because no one ever shows up to these post-race interviews, unfortunately, except for Quanda drivers, which we appreciate from you guys. Give your shout outs to anybody, your teammates, sponsors, or anybody you want to, so feel free.
Yep. Thanks to all my teammates for giving me a great car with me not being able to really help with the preparation again. And thanks Mac for spotting and getting in the right strategy, and all our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, Hosingveld, N1 Design, SimQuip, RaceSpot, and Joe Rule Timing.
There you go, Will Mitchell de Jong, who came home in second again for the 4th time this season, but a strong result nevertheless. So let's see what he can do. Especially looking forward to that final round at Koto. I think that's a track Mitchell's always been strong at, but maybe Suzuka and Nürburgring will be even better. Yeah, indeed. So Mitchell de Jong coming home 2nd place here today. Marty Piatella missed out on the podium, but comes home 4th place here today. Marty, not a bad result. We saw you trying to close in on Frank Shawhorse at parts of the race, but talk us through it, because you ended up 8.5 seconds behind him at the end.
Yeah, on the first end it kind of felt that I was able to at least match his pace and maybe be a bit quicker towards the end. I started complaining about the tires a few laps before my pit, and the guys reacted on it, and I think it was the best possible strategy for us today to pit a bit early. I tried to push on my outlap to get the undercut, but there were still 2.5 seconds to go, and I just couldn't get my car or tires to work in the second stint. And the last 5 laps or so, I was just like hanging on to the car and trying to keep it on the black stuff.
You were being caught a little bit by Marcus Jensen at the end. I mean, how tough was it out there? And is that due to the way the track was evolving, or driving style, or was it just literally, it just happened?
Basically, it just happened. I mean, of course. We'll need to check, or I'll need to check what was going on and why I wasn't able to get more out of the car on my second stint. But yeah, like I said, the last 5 laps or so, I was just trying to drive as fast so I wouldn't lose focus, while basically stopping in every apex and doing a 3-point turn in order not to spin.
And of course, the next 3 rounds. In terms of the championship, if you continue this, it will help you in terms of the championship a little bit, moving you up in the standings overall. But Suzuka, as I said before, unless your name's Hugo Louise, it's been a pretty good track for you guys over the last couple of years. But is it one that you're looking forward to?
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoy that track. I don't know if I'm actually been able to do that many good results there, but it's a blast to drive. Like Spa and Koda for me. I mean, those are the 3 most favorite tracks for me. Spa, usually I get some decent results like I did today, but it's gonna be a difficult last part of the season. I mean, P3 in the championship is fairly close.
Yeah, you're 30 points behind Bonner House. Is there a chance you can make it a Coanda 1-2 in terms of the championship this year, especially considering how House struggled here today?
I mean, anything can happen. That's still like 30 or so points. He's ahead. So, but you never know. 1 DNF from him, and things will be different. But then again, 1 DNF from me, and I won't get my license next year or something like that.
Well, before we let you go, Marty, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Everyone. No, seriously. Of course, my teammates. I wasn't really able to put in the effort for this race because I was just. I think I explained to you my plans a couple of rounds ago about being on the lakeside and stuff. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. So Martin and Mac and Mitch had to basically prepare the car for me, and I was just arrive and drive driver today. Of course, our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, Hosingveld, SimQuip, Antwerp Designs, and what did I miss? Joel Real Timing, I guess.
Well, thank you.
And you guys, of course.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. Marty Piatella coming home 3rd place here today. Well, that really sets the scene for the last 3 rounds of this championship, Johnny, because there are going to be 3 very entertaining rounds in terms of this championship. And for those of you wondering what those rounds are, never fear, we're going to tell you right now. Suzuka, of course, that is going to be on the 2nd of September. Then we got ourselves Nürburgring on the 23rd of September. We round things off on the 7th of October at Circuit of the Americas. All 3 of those can be a showstopper here, Johnny.
Yep, definitely. So 2 weeks away is Suzuka, 53 laps, the wonderful figure of 8 that is designed by a Dutchman, apparently, right? And it's a Japanese racetrack. I always hear that fact every single year, so I'm sure someone, one of us two, is probably going to repeat that again. It's a good track, though. One of those, it's a very big driver's track. A circuit I never figured out as a driver, because what would happen is most races, let's say I was in a series and I was, for example, 4th or 5th consistently each race, I'd sometimes show up to Suzuka and I'd be P11, 12 in qualifying, and I'd wonder why. And I think obviously that's due to a bit of lack of skill, maybe a lack of confidence around the circuit, but you really are going to see certain drivers thrive there. And we've always had really thrilling qualifying sessions there. Do you remember the Radicals front row? Yeah, the Radicals front row lockout last year. Incredible. So let's see what happens this year at Suzuka.
Yep, qualifying would definitely be one to watch. As we say, Radicals last year was absolutely phenomenal. And also, of course, sector number 1 of a lap here at Suzuka is always fun, especially if the track conditions are slightly cooler than what people are anticipating. But that is all we have got time for here, ladies and gentlemen, from round number 9 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That guy has been Jonathan Taman. I am Will Vincent. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched our coverage here today of RaceSpot Race Day and of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Well, Martin Kroenke now is 9 for 9. He's won 10 races in a row. He'll be competing for World's Fastest Gamer, we are sure. And now he has got himself 2 fingers at least on that World Championship trophy. He can't win the championship at Suzuka realistically. That might have to wait until he goes to his home race at the Nürburgring. But one can really say, barring some form of a miscalculation, some form of an incident, Martin Kroenke is looking to win his 2nd World Championship as it stands. But last 3 rounds of the championship, anything can happen. Suzuka, the Nürburgring, and Circuit of the Americas are to come. This is RaceSpotTV. This is the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We will see you all in 2 weeks as we head ourselves over to Japan. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you all next time. Good afternoon.